of Community Health. Lyon had led the latter department. He is one of 15 current and former city and state officials facing charges for criminal wrongdoing in the Flint water scandal. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said that it is within his agency's power to eliminate rebates on prescription drug purchases, a key element of the Trump administration's plan to lower prescription medicine costs. Such rebates are negotiated in the United States by pharmacy benefit managers to lower cost of medicines for their clients, which include large employers and health plans that cover tens of millions of Americans. Drug makers say they are under pressure to provide rebates to the few pharmacy benefit managers that dominate the market, which include CVS, Express Scripts, and United Health's Optum, and that those payers do not pass on enough of the savings to patients, a contention the pharmacy benefit managers dispute. The drug makers say the rebates force them to raise the price on their therapies over time to preserve their business. The Trump administration has been receptive to that argument. Azar, in an interview with Reuters on Friday, said rebates create a perverse incentive to continuously raise drug prices. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
On June 4th, 1919, a group of bold, passionate men took it upon themselves to pass the Women's Suffrage Act, finally granting women the right to vote that they were too frail and helpless to achieve on their own. Having long watched women struggle to stand up for their right to choose elected officials, the strong and capable men decided to intercede and aid their weak female counterparts. And on June 6, 1972, David Bowie's release of his concept album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, kick-started the glam rock genre and led to such spin-off trends as glam medicine, glam sports, and glamcatecture, all culminating in the 1976 presidential glam election. And that was what happened this week in history. In the words of French King John II, history will forever remember the great names of Alexander and Napoleon and Washington. But what about me, John II of France? I did stuff too.
This is the Onion News Network.
It's our network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free, take control of the airwaves. You can bring up anything that you want, and that is the point here on Free Talk Live. We've also normally got Discord as our high-quality connection option tonight, but there seemed to be some issue with the server at the moment. Unfortunately, the downside to Discord is it is a centrally managed server, so we don't actually have any control over how the server runs. So we'll let you know once that's a quality option. You're still welcome to connect on Discord to us, and we'll test it out as the night goes on here. We're expecting a special guest, and she was on Discord, but unfortunately...
She's not late.
Right. Yeah.
This is some of the wonders of doing live radio is that, oh, well, you know, just the other people get out of the studio, and you've got 7 minutes to figure out, oh, there's a problem.
There's something wrong.
Yeah, the sound card or something like that. And
no, this isn't a sound card problem. It's a server issue.
What does that mean? I mean, does that mean
a sound card would be a local problem? Sound card would be local, meaning that there's something in this computer that's going wrong. Right. Then a server issue would be a computer on the internet that is hosting the Discord server, in which case run by the Discord Corporation, whoever they are. That's where the problem appears to lie, because I had a connection issue both with our guest and a different person who was in a different Discord call-in room. So the fact that the same issue was present with both of those people suggests that it's not their fault, that it's the server's problem.
So we're trying to pull up Skype now to get it to get the conversation going, right?
Correct. So what is this conversation going to be about, Mark?
The big deal here today, at least in my world, is the freedom in the 50 states has been released for 2018. And this is always a big deal because we, as you know, the freest state in the Union, New Hampshire, home of this great freedom migration, that includes the Free State Project and so many others, we get to celebrate being number one. And
not anymore, apparently.
Yeah. New Hampshire's number 2.
Uh-oh. Now, what years does this study cover?
That's part of the weirdness.
Okay.
And part of the reason that I brought Rachael on today.
This is Rachael Goldsmith, who is with us now on Skype, hopefully, if it's not our internet connection that's the problem. Rachael, are you with us? It might be our internet connection, because we're having the same issue now on Skype as we were with Discord.
Can you switch over to the DSL line rather than the
That
cable?
is... Right now, the way our internet's set up here is both internet connections are sort of...
Working in tandem?
Working in tandem.
What do they call that? Fused?
There's like a failover way to do it, but then there's also a way to do it that's not failover based, where it kind of just sort of sorts out connections over both. I don't want to get into it,
okay.
Mark. We're going to have to ask Rachael to just be patient with us as we figure this out. We may have to do it the old school way and go on the phone lines.
Well, it's going to sound
I'll check
better.
My internets.
Right. It's going to sound better. Why don't you just type in the telephone number to her and have her call in that way?
Yeah.
So what happened was, essentially, by the looks of it, and Rachel's going to know a bit more about this, the numbers, they've collected this data since 2000, and New Hampshire has been number 1 from like 2000 to 2006, and then there was a dip down to number 2 and then bop up to number 1, and so they redid everything.
Was Florida even anywhere near the top 5 before? I don't think
previously,
it was.
No. And that was one of the things that came as such a shocking surprise here, that Florida jumps up. Now, I lived in Florida for some time, and I've always said, hey, property taxes were cheaper in Florida. I paid fewer taxes to the state of Florida than I do to the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And taxes are a great indication of what freedom is. And I always felt I have only lived in Florida and New Hampshire, really. I've gone on vacation to different places, but I don't know. I don't know how long you have to live in one state or country in order to say, I lived there. I was alive in Greece for a few minutes at their airport in Athens or something. So is that actually longer in Greece? Maybe I should have used England, Great Britain or England. But I don't know. Anyway, so I don't even know where I was going with that. The New Hampshire bebops between 1 and 2 for the last 16 years. This doesn't include any information in 2017 or 2018. And it takes them a while to go through this. There's many points. This is the most comprehensive rating of the states, and their freedom.
I want to interrupt you again. I think I screwed something up here on the board. Rachael, we're going to try you again. Are you there? Rachael Goldsmith? Okay. Definitely not hearing anything now. All right. I apologize for interrupting you again there, Mark.
It's not a problem. I'd like to get Rachael here.
She might have gone away. I don't know. Or wait. Yeah. Go
just
ahead.
Type in the telephone number, and then she can call in. So Florida, on the other hand, now the number 1 state in the union, as far as freedom goes, the overall freedom ranking from freedominthefiftystates.org went from number 10 and
number 10.
Yeah, in 2000, dipped down to number 4.
That's a good thing. They want to be number 4.
Dipped down to number 12 in 2004,
okay.
And then clawed its way up to number 1 for the last 3 years. So from 2014 through 2016, it's been number 1. So they retroactively changed history, and they redid all their tests rather than just have, well, we're going to change the criteria here for 2016 and then keep all the old rankings. They went back and redid all the rankings. If you want to find it, you're going to have to go to the internet time machine to find the old rankings, because freedominthefiftystates.org is now all by this new criteria.
All right, well, I'm hoping the 4th time's going to be a charm here. Rachael, are you with us? Rachael Goldsmith?
You certainly have faith in this internet technology. Type in the telephone number.
Well, no, the problem was, Mark, that initially when I first turned her up here, when I had her on Skype for the first time, I'd forgotten that I'd switched Skype over to another pod on the board, and so I was actually just hearing her on Discord again, because I'd never hung up the Discord call. So when we thought it was... Anyway, it's just been a
Type
mess.
the telephone number.
I already did, okay? So I wanted to try Skype again because we didn't actually have Skype on previously. Anyway,
So
go ahead.
I can tell you, as a mover from the state of Florida in 2006, I moved from the 5th freest state to the 1st freest state. However, living in New Hampshire for the last 12 years, I am now in the 2nd freest state, and Florida is the freest state. Now, I've been going back and forth between Florida. There isn't this conversation for liberty. There isn't the quantity of libertarians there. And if we did pick up all the libertarians in New Hampshire, we plopped them down in Florida, they would be a drop in the bucket. They would be, basically inconsequential because there are, 20 million people in Florida or thereabouts. There's 1.4 in New Hampshire, and that makes a big difference as far as, activism and that sort of thing. So are
you feeling bad about leaving Florida now at this point?
I don't. New Hampshire is my home. Okay,
but your home was Florida for 30 years or whatever.
But it's not now.
No.
Now my home is in New Hampshire.
Right.
And I feel mostly bad that these rankings are what they are, and I want to know more about it. And also, there's a lot of people upset about on our Facebook group with these numbers. Sure.
What are they upset for?
Well, both Florida and New Hampshire have marijuana illegal, and the Freedom in the 50 States rank the top 2 states as and matter of fact, the top 5 states.
Well, marijuana is not the only factor in whether a place is free or not. I mean, the places like Colorado and California aren't particularly free in a whole lot of other ways.
Colorado came in number 4,
is that right?
And Nevada came in number 5.
Okay.
But the top 3 are going to you can go to jail over weed, and if you're in jail, you're not feeling very free. So for a subset of people out there, marijuana legalization's important, and the way they prosecute the war on drugs is important. Personally, for me, not nearly as important, but I wouldn't want to see my friends going to jail over this stuff either. Ian?
Indeed. So the toll-free number here tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can, of course, bring up anything you want. New Hampshire falling down the list to number 2 on the Freedom in the 50 States, apparently. There's more coming up, and you can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
What is it costing you in vet bills for that convenience of just pulling open a bag of
formulated, extruded, processed cereal bits that cost a ton of money anyways?
How do you feed your dog to derive not only energy, but a good coat, bright eyes, and a great attitude?
Come to Dynovite for help.
DINOVITE.com.
I found his raw meat diet on Dynovite.com.
With just the raw meat and the eggs and the Dynovite and the Super Omega on top of it.
Try Super Omega Fish Oil.
Buy 2, get 1 free.
Ground beef, white rice, eggs, including the shells, and the Dynovite supplement, and then the Lico Chops.
Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
It just balances out his body and his mind and his spirit.
Adding Dynovite to their diet has every single dog in my kennel looking better than they have ever looked.
Their skin is so much better now that they're on the raw diet. I don't even give them the kibble anymore.
DINOVITE.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will advance the decentralization of the Zencash network and ensure the utility not only of Zencash as a currency, but also the future services that will be layered in the infrastructure. Learn more at zencash.com.
Are you making sense to the boomer mindset? I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. 80 million baby boomers comprise 25% of the population and control most of the USA's wealth. As aging parents pass on, they'll control more. Boomers are 46 to 65 years old and regard themselves as midlife. They identify as neither young nor old. They're post-minivan and pre-retirement, and they don't like being called boomers. They think me. Many of the purchases boomer couples make are individual purposes. They've been experimenters all their lives. If you want their attention, tell stories and keep it simple. If something seems complicated, boomers can dismiss it as, I don't need this. And if you're looking for work, you may be applying to a boomer, so relate accordingly. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can take control of these airwaves. You can bring up anything that you want. We got stuff to talk about here tonight beyond the bad news about New Hampshire dropping down the list from number 1 to number 2. Now, it's just a list. It's the Freedom in the 50 States. I'm sure there are other lists on which New Hampshire is solidly number 1.
Not only did they drop New Hampshire down on the list for this year, but they also took the opportunity to drop New Hampshire down on the list for every year since 2014.
Is that right?
That's right. It retroactively got
bumped
down.
This was retroactive. I missed that detail. I'm sorry. I was busy doing tech stuff.
I know. It was really stunning because I was looking at the rankings in the past, and New Hampshire wasn't where I expected it to be in past ranking systems.
What was it in? Okay, so this year's 2018, they're using numbers from previous years. Was the last ranking 2016? When that one came out? Because I feel like it's every 2 years, right? When they do this?
They're basically they went back and redid all the data from the past.
I know. I'm asking you, the last one prior to this was, what, 2 years ago?
Right, but
they release it every year.
I understand what you're saying. You're saying they've redone it, but they're using old data to redo the old numbers. So where is New Hampshire's position from the 2016, the last one?
2016 is the most recent one.
Oh, so this new one that's just coming out today is for 2016. So the one that came out in 2016 would have been for like 2014 then or something. Like that, so I'm asking you, if New Hampshire was what we thought was number 1 previous, what are they saying retroactively that it was last time? If it's number 2 now, what was it? It was number 2 last time, they're saying?
Yes. Yep. And then the time before as well.
Ah, okay.
All the way back to 2014.
All right. So now, finally, we've eliminated all of the problematic connections, and we actually have Rachael Goldsmith on the line with us. She is currently, you're not called the president of the Free State Project, right, Rachael? There's like a kind of executive director role. What is the exact role you have with the Free State Project?
Hey guys, yeah, so I am technically the executive director of the Free State Project.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But that's just like a title. We have the official position is president, according to our, mission and et cetera, et cetera. So I am technically the president.
You're the Pino, president and no, the opposite of a Pino. I don't know.
Is the president of the Free State Project?
I wanted my Pino joke and it just fell apart.
Is the president of the Free State Project also the executive director? Is that a thing? I don't know how it works.
So we're transitioning to an organization that is focused on having roles that are not statist. So I wasn't elected. I'm just the executive director. I fill out I perform the actions as directed by the board. I'm just the executive person who does that.
But that's what the president was doing anyway. And
so the president title's done. There's not going to be another president of the Free State Project.
Well, I mean, not at this time.
I mean, there could be. I'm not going to say never.
Okay. But the intention is to eliminate that terminology is what
it's not around now.
Gotcha. All right. So, Rachel, thanks for joining us here on Free Talk Live. The difficult news that I guess some people are processing here today, and I don't really, to me, it's just a list. I know it's more free here than it is in Florida. At least that's the way I feel. Generally, having lived in Florida for 26 years of my life. But what are your first reactions when you heard this news? As the lady running the organization that is one of the primary movers, one of the primary impetus of people to move to New Hampshire, Libertarians to migrate here.
Not just Libertarians, but people generally. I mean, the Free State Project, as far as raw numbers, is a good portion of the people who are moving to New Hampshire.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm not a representative of Cato or Freedom in the 50 states, so any, conversations that I can have are about this are really only as, the last guy who talked to Jason Sorens about it that Mark could drag onto the show. But from the perspective of the Free State Project, I mean, rankings aren't going to change the fact that the best strategy for liberty in our lifetime is concentrating liberty activists in one place. And unless someone can point to another place and say that place is better and there's more people who are concentrating there more quickly, it doesn't really change my day-to-day.
Yeah, I mean, we know that can't be done. Mark, you've had a website or a Facebook page for years. I don't know if you've updated it in a while.
There hasn't been a lot of news, so the answer basically is no.
Your page is about all these copycat projects that have come out over the last decade. Actually, you even go all the way back to the 70s or 80s, I think, as far as these old move
Anybody
here projects.
Who had any project that suggested you pick up and move your life as a libertarian, because there's lots of projects to, the Mormons picked up and moved to Utah.
It worked.
I didn't have that. That was effective.
Yep.
And as a matter of fact, that was part of the sort of the game plan for the Free State Project.
Right.
So any project like that I've looked at, and either they were designed in a way that they could not fail, where if you don't move, just think positive things about us or something, or they were just failures. There was the Free Detroit Project, and the idea was, hey, I hear houses are $1 in Detroit. Let's move there and have pigs at our house and
that didn't go
stuff.
Anywhere. There was the Free Wyoming.
Is that kind of the idea for Grafton?
Well, you're allowed to have pigs there.
So there were all these different projects that sort of came up, and many of them were directly inspired by the Free State Project, like Free State Wyoming, which actually did have some movers, but they ultimately never really coalesced into anything at all.
It's a big state. How could they?
Well, I mean, if they had enough movers, they could probably have done something, but they ultimately were the kind of people who just moved out to the middle of nowhere and did nothing.
Shut their guns to the woods.
They had a couple camping festivals, and then that stopped, and I don't think their website's actually been updated in about a decade. So, I mean, there's a bunch of other copycat projects out there. The Free State Project is the only one that has really had the I don't know, the longevity, the stick-to-itiveness, what we've been looking for to attract people here who are going to stick with it. Now, some people have left, so we don't know how many of the people who've moved have left, really, but ultimately there's still a larger group of libertarians, voluntarists, liberty-loving anarchists here in New Hampshire than anywhere else. No one has ever challenged that, Rachel. It's never even happened.
It's true, and I don't think that it's fair to disregard the impact that this movement has had on the state. I mean, politically, socially, economically, New Hampshire is freer than anywhere else, hands down, and there's no denying that there's a community here that you're not going to get in some place like Florida or Wyoming, because we just are able to concentrate, and we're able to have, I mean, we have over 600 Liberty meetups every single year. That's more than every other state combined.
If I did go one time to Tallahassee. Ian, have you ever gone from Sarasota to Tallahassee? I can't remember what the numbers are, but it's like a 6-hour drive. That means if you wanted to go and testify on a bill or for whatever reason, you got to start
2 days.
You start at 6 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. You arrive at noon. Hopefully you get to testify.
Bill testimony starts at like 9 or 10.
Right.
You better go the night before.
Right. Okay, so now you're at a hotel. Yeah. It's outrageous. I can't. If they do get people, they probably disregard them, as politicians tend to. Anybody in the lawyer industrial complex doesn't care what you have to say when you show up because, well, they're smarter than you are. So, you would have very little effect trying to move the Free State Project to Florida.
Rachel, since we were in such a rush to get you here, I didn't have a chance to ask you how long you could stay with us. Did you want to stay for another segment and talk more about this?
I feel like you guys have pretty much covered all of the knowledge that I have. Again, I'm not an authority on the subject. So,
I want to know what they changed on the ranking.
If you've got time, it's up to you. We'll let you hang on here. If not, it's all right. 855 450 free, like freedom, Free Talk Live.
This is Jessica Armand, creator of the fluoride-free oral care brand My Magic Mud. You're going to love our new products. Our cutting-edge oral rinses deeply soothe your mouth and fight cavities naturally. Our breath spray, My Magic Mist, will invigorate your senses with essential oils of peppermint and eucalyptus. Our clinically proven toothpaste and tooth powders whiten your teeth and detoxify your mouth. Buy discounted bundles direct at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off with coupon code GCN10. mymagicmud.com.
If you like alkaline water, or know someone that does, you're going to love the Dylan Living Water Bottle. It creates alkaline water on the go while reducing plastic waste and saving you money. Made with surgical-grade stainless steel, the Dylan bottle increases the pH up to 9 to deliver both alkaline and antioxidant water anywhere you want it. Alkaline water is healthier, tastes better, and can even boost energy. The Dylan bottle makes it easy and affordable to be healthy and achieve optimal hydration. Get your Dylan bottle today at byln.co. That's byln.co.
Free Talk Live.
I was a pedestrian, and an asinine cop backed up and hit me and knocked me down to the ground. And I said, I think we need to call the police, as I'm, screaming in pain. And he said, go ahead, I'm a cop too. And he left the scene of the accident.
Oh, wow.
So when the police and the ambulance and all the paramedics arrived to take me to the hospital, because I have knee damage now and need knee replacements to both knees because of his actions. And I told him, I said, I'm a registered nurse. I work drug and alcohol rehab. This guy was drunk. I could see it. I could tell by his actions. He was drunk. And I said, I want a blood alcohol done on him. They knew who he was. They waited 6 hours to go to his home to arrest him. And, of course, by then he had sobered up.
Sure.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern. Live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Free Talk Live, you can take control of the airwaves here. You can bring up anything that you want. We're talking about the news that the Freedom in the 50 States study has come out, and looking at numbers from 2016 that has ranked New Hampshire at number 2 in the 50 states as far as the number 2 most free state. Number 1 is Florida, and they did retroactive changes to the previous lists, which means that New Hampshire, which we previously had been announced as number 1 in previous studies, was actually, in point of fact, not number 1 if they recalculated it in the way they recalculated it. One of our listeners in the Discord chat, H. Reardon, does point out this, Mark. And again, I'm coming at this completely blind. All I heard today was the headline. I had not looked at anything about this. But he does say here that New Hampshire is the most improved in the Freedom in the 50 States study.
Most improved over what? It's basically been 1 or 2 for the last 16 years.
Is that right? Okay, well then I don't know what he's talking about. That's just what he said here. I don't know what his point of reference is. We've got Rachael Goldsmith on the line with us, and she is, I think, well, you're out in the Seacoast. Is that right?
No, I live in Manchester.
Oh, Manchester. All right. Is it West Manchester where all the porcupines, the Free Staters and such live?
I live on the east side, but I love the idea of the west side secession. I'm all about it.
Yeah, I heard about that, where they're actually going to try to secede from the city of Manchester once they can get enough libertarians.
It doesn't make much sense that you have a city that a river runs through the middle of it.
So that's pretty interesting. And that talks about, the level of community that we have here. There are literally, I don't know how many dozens of people that live in Manchester, but a good chunk of them live on the west side of the city. And they've got
pretty cool because they're already starting to build services that will replace state services. So,
like what?
Cleanup and garbage.
Really?
And there's a lot of cell 411 users there. So there's almost always someone around if you need an emergency assistance.
Very cool. So we know that thousands of people have moved here as part of the Free State Project. Others have moved simply because they don't want to join anything, but they've moved anyway.
Right.
There's people that show up just because they know that this migration is happening. They know this migration is successful. So we're obviously juxtaposing the numbers here of New Hampshire being number 2 on the Freedom in the 50 States with the reality on the ground that New Hampshire is just a freer place in a lot of ways than Florida. I'm sorry. I've lived in Florida. Mark,
I hear you recoiling from it, but what I want to know from Rachael is, what do you know about why Florida just jumped up on this chart? What made the change so happen?
So, from what I understand, and again, I am not a data analyst or a representative of the Freedom in the 50 States publication, is that there was a change in the methodology of how they measured and weighed land zoning restrictions. And it's true that New Hampshire is incredibly complicated and oppressive when it comes to land zoning restrictions, and I'd encourage any listeners who are interested in learning more about that to go to fsp.org/news, and you can check out on our real estate section, you can learn more about some of the different ways that regulations exist and how to deal with them, how to find those loopholes.
Well, just to be clear, there are some towns in New Hampshire that have absolutely no zoning whatsoever. So Grafton, of course, is noteworthy for that. Here in the Cheshire County area,
I know a guy who's building a sod house in Grafton.
Yeah, here in the Monadnock region, the western portion of the state, there's a town called Leominster, which has no zoning. In fact, whenever they try to vote in zoning, because there's obviously the busybody types that want to create something like that, but it gets voted down pretty overwhelmingly every time in in those towns.
And then there's towns where it's miserable and you basically have to ask government permission just to change your carpet out. I mean,
so you get the whole range.
It runs the gamut.
Yeah, you get the whole range.
But I want to make a comment about something that you brought up earlier, Discord user talking about the most improved.
Mm-hmm.
So that's true. New Hampshire, according to this ranking, is still the most improved. And in fact, the last time that there was this ranking, New Hampshire was also the most improved. And it's not relative to other states; it's relative to itself.
Okay.
So we're running this race towards liberty independently from the other states, while also simultaneously running it against the other states. But every single time this ranking exists, New Hampshire, at least in the last 6 years, has been getting more and more free, relatively speaking, to itself.
Okay. Mark, he says here the website itself, the Freedom in the 50 States, claims somewhere that New Hampshire is the most improved.
Well, I wish I'd have poured over this even more. I mean, I spent a couple of hours on it today just trying to get as ready for this as I can. But this is an exhaustive study, and it takes so much of Jason and I think it's Robert's time. I hope I have his name right. Anyway, it takes
Will Ruger.
Phil, what is it?
Will.
Yep.
William.
William's time that I can't believe that two guys can do this. One thing I can say is if you look at New Hampshire's ranking over the last 16 years, you would call it the freest state in the union still, because it has been either number 1 or number 2. The rest of these states are up, they're down, they're all over the place. Florida, although it is number 1 today, and that's a nice place to be, and I don't want to take that away from them, basically rose from number 12 in 2004.
What's the murder rate in Florida compared to New Hampshire? I mean, New Hampshire is overwhelmingly
dead.
Yeah. I mean, New Hampshire, I believe, has ranked number 1 pretty consistently as like best place to raise a family,
right.
safest state, lowest murder per 100,000. I mean, Rachel, can you pay attention to these things when they come out, because there's like these one-off studies that just look at quality of life or raising a family.
Most smiling people.
Can you rattle off, a few New Hampshire's number 1 for just off the top of your head?
I mean, we're number 1 for homeschooling, for retirees, for raising a black family. The list is kind of all over the place, but it makes, to me, the most impactful element of that is you have to really think about what freedoms you need for you and your family, and then consider which rankings are going to be important to you. This is exhaustive, as you said, but, as a result of that, it kind of highlights some things that may be important to some people and decreases the value of things that would be important to other people.
One of my favorite things about this migration is the fact that not everybody is out on Front Street. And what I mean by that is, obviously, the keen activism that's gone on here has been very, very visible, whether it be the Robin Hooding, putting coins in expired parking meters. It gets all kinds of international press coverage.
Got all kinds of international it hasn't been in
it may again at some
half
point.
A decade.
But that was just one example, Mark. There was the 420s that happened here, also got international press coverage. But there's the quiet people that just move here and just kind of, meld into the community. And I have a kind of cool story of finding one of those folks recently here in the Keene area. So we're doing some local media outreach for cryptocurrency and basically giving away crypto, small amounts of it, to people who will respond to local advertising. And one of the people who responded is a guy who's got a family, and they moved over from New York. And he told me that it was the 101 Reasons to move to New Hampshire, that there's a movie about that, 101reasonsfilm.com. He says that was a real linchpin in his decision to make the move here. They've been here 11 months, and they finally came out to a cryptocurrency meetup that we had recently, but we only found out about them because they responded to this sort of contest crypto giveaway thing that I just happened to be running on local media. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you. It's kind of a cool story. Have you ever run across any of those people, like where you just run into somebody in real life, you've never met them before, they've never been to any kind of meetups, and then you just discover that they're a free stater?
I mean, I like to expand the definition of free stater. So anybody who moves to New Hampshire because it's free, in my opinion, should be a free stater. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yes.
So I met this woman who, she and her family moved here from California. They had never heard of the Free State Project before, and we just started talking, and I was like, so why are you here? And she basically said that New Hampshire was the freest place that she could go, and she was so tired of being, under the boot that she was looking for someplace to live. She moved, I think she had just had a baby. They also had 2 additional kids. So, that's a big challenge to move such a family.
No doubt.
And they did it just because New Hampshire is free.
Rachel, thanks for coming on Free Talk Live with us tonight. Appreciate your time. That's Rachael Goldsmith, the executive director of the Free State Project at freestateproject.org. Mark, let's talk about the bottom 5. Since she mentioned California, They were number 49 last time. We'll come back with that coming up here in your calls and thoughts as well. Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like
Thanks,
crazy?
Rachel. Have a great night.
Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Liquor Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Liquor Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed micronutrients. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Liquor Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
But that's the agent where there are no restrictions for consensual activities.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
Have you experienced the miracle of CBDs? They can help you reduce suffering, reduce stress, help you sleep better, modulate inflammation in the body, and is absolutely safe. Meta Hemp Solutions offers a radically innovative approach to CBDs for exceptional results. Stop suffering and reduce your stress now. Isn't it time for a good night's sleep? Stop worrying about tomorrow today. Lab tested for potency, purity, and is non-psychoactive. Free shipping to all 50 states. Try our product risk-free, money-back guarantee. Use code GCN15 to get 15% off. That's code GCN15 to get 15% off. Offer ends soon, so visit MetaHemp Solutions today at metahempsolutions.com or call 833-858-7500. Suffer no more. Get rid of the stress and sleep better. Get our product now at metahempsolutions.com. That's metahempsolutions.com.
Frankly, if a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want here. We got the freedom in the 50 states. We're going to continue with that here, but we're going to go to your calls first. We had Rachael Goldsmith on with us from the Free State Project, and I wanted to talk about the bottom 5. We talked about the top 5 states: Florida, New Hampshire, looks like Indiana at number 3, Colorado at number 4, Nevada at number 5 in the most recent study released, today, something like that, by the Freedom in the 50 States. And so let's go to the bottom 5 here in a little bit, but first we'll go to your calls and thoughts. Also want to make sure that you know about Zencash, which is a cryptocurrency that was launched back in 2017 by people who are like us, people who are voluntarists, people that understand the ideas of liberty and good economics and great technology, because they picked some of the best tech out there, like zero-knowledge anonymity, to build into Zencash from the beginning. There's over 16,000 secure nodes and super nodes combined in their system. That means they've got more nodes in the Zencash system than Bitcoin, BTC, has in its system. Zencash is a strong network. It's got a great technology behind it. They keep making it better over time. In fact, I've heard there's going to be some kind of special announcement coming within the next 24 hours, perhaps, about Zencash, and I don't know.
Weird branding thing that I haven't heard anything about.
I've heard it hearsay. Daryl told me, so I don't know. I did not actually hear directly from Zencash on that. Of course, once we find out what that is, we'll certainly let you know. But for now, you can go and get the official Zencash wallet on their website over at zencash.com. It's available for Linux, Mac, Windows, and Android devices. Zencash.com. As we go to your calls and thoughts, Ben is in Canada on one of the amp lines. Go ahead, Ben.
Hi. I was going to talk about the news from the Mueller probe Manafort.
From the what?
The Mueller probe Manafort.
I'm sorry, are you on like a headset? Just a technical question. Are you a headset user?
On my cell phone.
Oh, you sound better now. Go ahead.
Anyways, so the issue was that he was convicted of 8 of the 18 charges against him. This was one of Donald Trump's campaign managers. But
what were the charges?
He pled to them.
What were the charges about?
Bank fraud.
They were, well, for Manafort, it was bank fraud and tax evasion charges. And I think most of the ones that he was found guilty on was bank fraud related.
Okay.
But broadly, I believe this Mueller probe is just political legal drama in order to discredit Donald Trump.
I'm gonna have to let you go, Ben. It's just not a great quality connection. I apologize, but I appreciate your call here tonight. We've been having some technical difficulties here this evening. I don't know if that was his phone or what was causing the issue there, but he was normally a Discord user, and he actually called the phones because Discord was having an issue. So
something's going wrong.
Yeah. So this Manafort guy got convicted. Was that what the news was?
Well, convicted. He pled.
Pled. Okay.
Right. And I mean, that's how it goes anymore. You just pile things up and scare people into
You're
whatever.
looking at 50 years in prison, and they're going to give you one. Okay. That's what most people are going to do. They're going to take the deal.
One does wonder if you just said, like, I'm just presuming that if Manafort had said something to the effect of, I'm not pleading to nothing here, and you take me down the whole way, wouldn't Trump just pardon him if he'd stood firm?
Yeah, good question. You would think so. If you want to comment on whatever's on your mind, you can. The toll-free number is 855.
It looks like it might have been a verdict. Then that came down very quickly. I thought he pled in the interim here. It says found guilty on 8 counts is what it says. It looks like I'm wrong.
I don't know. 855-450-3733. We go to...
I was going to say, did you guys read the analysis on the freedom of the 50 states? I see you looking at it over there. Well,
I haven't looked at anything on this yet, Johnson. I literally had just started looking at it at the beginning of the show.
Because you were asking a lot of questions that I think would be answered in relatively short I
want to talk about it, but I want to get to these calls first. We got Leon. He's on the line in California. Leon, go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
You sound good. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay. I just wanted to mention I'm a fairly new listener. Actually, listen to you guys on this. I subscribe to the podcast.
Welcome.
But I was listening to the episode on Friday, I believe. You guys had a guy from called in and was, trying to give some props to his Libertarian candidate from New York.
Yeah.
And to me, it just seems like the way I interpret it is like you guys, pretty much everybody on the show just bashed him for that.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, before you go on with your point, I'm glad you called about that because for listeners who weren't tuned in or hosts who weren't there that night, there was a caller who was talking about how great the Libertarian candidate is doing in New York, claiming he's scoring better than the Republican in a poll.
Is that Alex Merced?
No, I don't think so. Another guy. Anyway, Daryl actually looked at the poll, and it turns out that wasn't a particularly honest. I mean, it wasn't dishonest, but it wasn't a full-on poll. What they asked people was, of the people who are going to, or I think it was of the people who are familiar. So of the polling group that they polled, a certain number of them were familiar with the Libertarian candidate. Of those who were familiar, how many of you would vote for that candidate? And basically that question resulted in more of them saying they would vote for the Libertarian than would vote for the Republican. So if you looked at just the general public as far as how they responded, the Libertarian was not doing as well as was being presented. So they only looked at people who were familiar with the Libertarian, which is still good news. Like the news there is if people are familiar with the Libertarian, they're more likely to vote for that Libertarian. But overall, it wasn't as though a general poll of the population was saying the Libertarian was going to do better than the Republican, which was the way it was being presented, and that's not entirely an honest way to present it. I wanted to get that information out. Go ahead with your point, Leon.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yep, you're right there.
Okay, sorry about that. No, yeah, I that's understandable. It seemed like when he brought that up, everyone on the show was like, oh, if you like watching a guy bang his head against a brick wall.
Yeah.
I just thought it was kind of like a turnoff for me, for you guys. I don't know if I just wanted to kind of.
Why is that a turnoff?
What your thoughts are?
Well, because you're being a jerk to the caller.
No. It's not being a jerk. It's pointing out reality.
It just seemed that you basically were saying that there's no point on anybody other candidate running as a Libertarian candidate.
In New York, there really isn't any point. I mean, look, it's number 50 on the list
I was about
here.
to mention that.
Please.
Yeah, if you've been paying attention to the rest of the show, we've been talking about this Cato Institute study on the freedom in the 50 states. Well, guess where New York falls? Dead last.
And it's dead last by a factor, mind you. It beats the competition, number 49, by a mile.
And is that still true in the most recent?
I'd have to look at that. I haven't looked at it, but that was previously.
That was true previous, yeah.
I'd like to address this because it can be very demoralizing when something like this happens. And you've said you're a new listener to the show. That doesn't mean you're new to Libertarian politics, but I can assure you that Ian and Johnson and Daryl are not new to Libertarian politics. And what they believe, and I would have to agree with them, is that you basically, even if you were to win in another state, that winning is pointless if you're in a den of vipers. If you're the one Libertarian in a state house in some place that doesn't have any hope of getting other freedom-oriented people, you just do what Dr. Ron Paul did.
I'm not agreeing with what you're saying right
Dr.
now.
Ron Paul did nothing in the state house.
I think that somebody, and if you're talking about who I think you're talking about for New York, probably Larry Sharpe.
That's him, yeah.
Yep. I think that Larry Sharpe could overturn, just cause chaos in the New York government.
Well, I'm for it if he does.
Yeah, I would be.
But he's not going to get elected.
I don't think he's going to get elected at all. I think he has a snowball's chance of getting elected in New York.
We've seen the failures for going on 2 decades now. And what I'm saying is if you don't want to fail, the only hope is concentration in one area.
Do you want me to lie to somebody, Leon? Do you think I should BS people out there and tell them, yeah, go team, you got a great chance of winning. Get out there and...
No.
Go ahead then. What should I do?
Yeah, no. Maybe I need some schooling too. I'm basically what you just said about Ron Paul is that maybe I'm wrong, but isn't the point of the liberty movement to at least introduce as many people as we can to the principles of libertarian philosophy.
Absolutely. And
Ron
Paul
did that. He did it in spades.
Right.
He's the greatest converter of people. But until that run, where he was drafted into that run, mind you, until that run, mostly people hadn't heard of him, and he was called, even during that run, the term quixotic was always put in front of his name.
Well, I want to address what you're saying, Leon. If you can hang on and hold through the news, we'll bring you back to continue the discussion, because I think it's an important question. So I'll invite you to do that here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Yes, libertarians should be spreading the message of liberty, but then what?
Let's talk tough. Let's talk comfort. Let's talk about down-home value, made in the USA blue jeans, like you wore as a kid. Remember?
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue diamond gussets got it, others don't.
For good old-fashioned comfort, get Diamond Gusset jeans. Every stitch guaranteed. And our Defender motorcycle jean comes Kevlar reinforced. See them at GUSSET.com, that's gusset.com, or call 888-848-7738. That's 888-848-7738. Diamond Gusset jeans got it, others don't.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.73 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,190 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,439. Antiwar.com reports, speaking on the 65th anniversary of the 1953 CIA coup against Iran, the Iranian foreign minister accused the newly established Iran Action Group of being an attempt by the U.S. government to repeat the coup, but that it will fail. The State Department announced the establishment of the Iran Action Group last week, with Brian Hook appointed to lead it as a special representative for Iran. Exactly what the group will be doing is not entirely clear. The State Department did try to present Hook's responsibility as coordinating all anti-Iran activities within the department, however, which suggests that it's reasonable for Iran to conclude the goal is regime change, despite some Trump administration officials denying that they are seeking regime change. Iran's foreign minister says U.S. attempts at regime change will come through pressure, misinformation, and demagoguery. The U.S. has been fairly open about spreading misinformation about Iran and trying to organize protest against the government, and in recent weeks has presented those protests as proof the Iranian government needs to make radical changes. Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will advance the decentralization of the Zencash network and ensure the utility not only of Zencash as a currency, but also the future services that will be layered in the infrastructure. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports a Michigan judge on Monday ordered the state's health director to stand trial on involuntary manslaughter charges over 2 deaths linked to a water crisis in Flint. Nick Lyon, the highest-ranking state official to face charges related to the city's tainted water supply, which was not properly treated when officials decided to draw from the Flint River in April 2014, switching from its previous source of Lake Huron. In addition to causing lead poisoning in children, the improperly treated water supply led to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in Flint, killing Robert Skidmore and John Snyder. Lyon was charged in June 2017 for the 2 deaths, as well as a felony count of misconduct in office. The charging document said Lyon showed gross negligence when he did not alert the public about the Legionnaire's outbreak until a year after he became aware of it. The document says he took steps to suppress information illustrating obvious and apparent harms that were likely to result in serious injury. Defendant Lyon willfully disregarded the deadly nature of the Legionnaire's disease outbreak. Prosecutors say Lyon instructed an official to stop an analysis that would have helped determine the crisis's cause. On Monday, when ordering the trial, 67th District Court Judge David Goggin said, "I find this behavior corrupt." Lyon could face 15 years in prison if convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The misconduct charge carries a possible 5-year sentence. Governor Rick Snyder named Lyon to the position on April 10, 2015, when he created a new agency that merged the Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Department of Community Health. Lyon had led the latter department. He is one of 15 current and former city and state officials facing charges for criminal wrongdoing in the Flint water scandal. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said that it is within his agency's power to eliminate rebates on prescription drug purchases, a key element of the Trump administration's plan to lower prescription medicine costs. Such rebates are negotiated in the United States by pharmacy benefit managers to lower cost of medicines for their clients, which include large employers and health plans that cover tens of millions of Americans. Drug makers say they are under pressure to provide rebates to the few pharmacy benefit managers that dominate the market, which include CVS, Express Scripts, and United Health's Optum, and that those payers do not pass on enough of the savings to patients, a contention the pharmacy benefit managers dispute. The drug makers say the rebates force them to raise the price on their therapies over time to preserve their business. The Trump administration has been receptive to that argument. Azar, in an interview with Reuters on Friday, said rebates create a perverse incentive to continuously raise drug prices. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Americans across the nation made their voices heard this week as they demanded more mind-blowing guitar solos. Calling for the solos to be, quote, face-meltingly cool and go on for well over 10 minutes, Americans stressed that all guitar solos from now on should be equally as kick-ass as those in Van Halen's Hot for Teacher and AC/DC's Thunderstruck, or even better.
It should start out really slow, and then get faster and faster until they're all the way up at the top of the guitar neck and bending the notes like crazy, so it's like, and then there's all this awesome pyrotechnic stuff going off in the background. They should all be like that.
And in this week's local news, a report noted that on its surface, Glenbrook, Ohio is a small town like any other, a peaceful, all-American town. And yet, the report's authors added, if you only look closer, what you find may surprise you. In other news, a man is just having one of those decades where he doesn't feel like doing anything.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free. You can take control of the airwaves, bring up whatever's on your mind as we launch into the second hour of the program. We started out in the beginning of the show talking about the Freedom in the 50 States, the most recent edition that just came out today, apparently, over at Freedom in the 50. That's 50, freedomin50states.org. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
And Mark.
And we're going to get into the bottom five. So we talked about the top five.
Well, you don't know what the top five are, do you?
Yeah, we talked about
what
that,
are they?
Mark. Number one, Florida. Number 2 was New Hampshire. 3 was Indiana. 4 was Colorado. And 5 was Nevada.
All right, good. You got it.
It's not hard to do that, Mark. You can just go to the website. There's a handy little map there on the front page.
It's not.
Huh?
There's a map on the front page, but it doesn't list them nicely.
Well, you just hover over it.
If you post it on Facebook, however, it puts a nice little image up for you to be able to read all that.
There's also a
all you
button
got to do
on
is
the map.
hover over it, Mark.
There's also a button on the map that says List View.
Yep. And you can do that too. So we're going to go back to your calls. We'll get into the bottom 5 coming up here in a moment. But Leon is on the line in California. And Leon, you had called in regarding a discussion that was had here on Free Talk Live last week. I think it was Friday night, you mentioned, where a gentleman had called in. He was very excited about the Libertarian candidate, Larry Sharpe is his name, in New York for governor there, and had made the claim that Larry Sharpe is beating the Republican in the polls. Well, we looked at the numbers. Turns out, not really. He's only beating the Republican among polled participants who were familiar with Larry Sharpe.
Now, if you had your druthers, you would like Larry Sharpe to be beating the Republican, though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. In an imaginary world,
and
that's what you'd like.
That brings us to Leon's other point, was that, were we being too harsh on the guy?
Generally, the answer to that
New
is
York?
yes, right? Like, this is kind of a harsh show.
Yeah, I'm not here to candy coat reality for you. The reality is the Libertarians, I agree with you, Leon, they should absolutely be running campaigns. Because if you can't leave New York for some reason, well, you might as well try to do something, even if it is banging your head up against a brick wall, which is what I liken it to, because ultimately, if you keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, which is to say you're not getting anywhere, then maybe you should change your approach. In this case, the idea for changing your approach is to leave New York, to get out of this hellhole that is the number 50th this year and 2 years ago, and I don't know what it was before that, but number 49 last time around was California. California's moved up the chart to number 48 this year on the Freedom in the 50 States, replaced by Hawaii at number 49. But New York's still at the bottom of the pack at number 50. If you are not in New Hampshire, you are not as effective of a libertarian as you could be if you were combining your efforts with other libertarians. And so it's just, if I think something's futile, I'm going to say so. And so I think it's completely futile to get out there and shout into the wilderness in the most statist of states, trying to do something to get somebody elected in New York. It just seems pointless to me. Go ahead, Leon, with your thoughts. Leon? In California? We have you now. Go ahead. Sorry, we can hear you now.
It's just that the fact that what I was saying is I was under the impression that the point of the whole movement was to try to introduce the libertarian principles to as many people as we can.
Absolutely.
But I just felt on that particular show, on that particular episode, that I was like, got me scratching my head, because I'm like, well, if that's the case, then why even bother having a libertarian candidate in anything else besides New Hampshire? That's kind of the way
I think that's what Ian thinks.
No, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm saying if you have to stay where you are for some reason and you want to try to do something, well, go right ahead. Good luck. I wish you the best. If you want to get libertarians actually elected, if you want to get the idea of liberty out there to a populace that's actually receptive towards it, then New Hampshire is the place to go. Now, there are some people who feel like, oh, well, I love New York. I was born here. I was raised here. My family's all here. I don't want to leave them. Or I've got a great career. I don't want to leave whatever state I'm in because I've got a great career and my job's more important. And for some people, jobs and family are more important, and I totally understand that. In which case, stay where you are, try to get the word out about liberty. But if 20 years down the line, nothing's changed, at some point, I wouldn't blame somebody who gives up and was just like, screw it, we can't get anywhere here. I'm just going to try to enjoy my life as much as possible, rather than spend a bunch of time and effort putting out political signs, calling radio stations, or, writing letters to the editor or whatever. Because if you're not actually making progress after... How long has the Libertarian Party been around? 40, 50 years, something like that. I think it was the early 70s
47.
when they started. And they don't have anything to show for it as far as electoral success is concerned. Now, don't get me wrong. It was the National Libertarian Party's Libertarian presidential candidate, Harry Brown, who was an actual libertarian and who was good at explaining what liberty was, who brought me into this movement. So there is value into people in other states running campaigns and talking about liberty. But ultimately, they really ought to be encouraging people to move to New Hampshire and gathering people together, because that's what I was doing in Florida. I was telling people who were down there, hey, give up on this crap. We're not getting anywhere. And here we are 14 or 15 years later or whatever since we left Florida almost. No, a dozen years later since we left Florida. And the Libertarian Party in Sarasota, where we're all from, by the way, we all left the Sarasota, Florida area. That Libertarian Party was disbanded shortly after we left because they didn't have enough Libertarians to actually fill all the seats in the local Libertarian Party. So they turned it into the Libertarian Club of Sarasota. The last time I checked in on them, they had not changed from a Libertarian club. They still are not in any way, shape, or form a party. The Libertarians in Florida still continue to get the same dismal election returns as they've always gotten. So the question is,
this is the freest state in the union now. So.
The question is, do you want to be successful at spreading the ideas of liberty, or do you want to just shout into the wilderness?
Well, we want to be successful in spreading the ideas of liberty.
Then I suggest you leave California.
Well, yeah, I mean, probably when we can get things, in a place where we can do that, that would be great. But I was just, the only point I wanted to bring up was that that particular episode. I think it's
okay.
He sounds harsh.
I am harsh about this. It's true.
It's I think
spent years banging my head up against the brick wall.
If you equivocate a little bit, then you can appeal to people a bit more.
Yeah.
And that's all I've done here with Alex is just kind of equivocate just a little bit. And here's what I would say, Alex, is that ultimately I think that moving to New Hampshire is probably a pretty good thing to be doing. But this is the day that we find out that New Hampshire has sunk from number 1 to number 2, and the state that we moved from is now number 1.
Based on some recalculations and other data or whatever, but they also said New Hampshire was the most improved of all the states. And as was pointed out, we have a real community of libertarians here. That does not exist in Florida. You remember what the meetings were like in Florida? I bet you they're no different today.
I'm not comparing it to any other state or anything like that.
We had an area in Sarasota, Florida, which is not a slouch as far as population. It's good, solid 500,000 people in the county. And what did we pull? Maybe 5 people at the typical Libertarian Party meetings?
Something like that.
If it was like an elections year, maybe there'd be 15 people or something like that. And we can pull 5 people at the drop of a hat here in Keene, New Hampshire, and Keene's got 25,000 people.
The youngest people at that meeting by about a good 20 years.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So, Leon, how old are you, if you don't mind?
I'm 33.
33, okay. So how long have you been involved in libertarian politics?
Well, I did join the Libertarian Party back in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So, not too long. But like I said, I'm in California, but I'm listening to your guys' podcast. So excellent. you know what I mean? So it's like, to me, it just seems like get the ideas out there. You never know who's listening, who's paying attention. I mean, I'm just saying.
That's true. The number one thing that one can do is to spread the ideas of liberty.
Right.
But if you're doing that sort of in your day-to-day life, and you're doing it at a place where a lot of other people are doing it in their day-to-day lives, it's probably going to have more of an effect than it would elsewhere.
It's synergy. Hey,
I think
Leon,
that there may be a better idea than the Free State Project out there personally, though. I mean,
what's that?
I'm still looking at these special economic zones where somebody can
Those are just ideas. They're not actually happening yet. Leon, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. And it is important to keep your mind open about these things. And, so maybe if one of these ideas comes to fruition and people start moving there and it's demonstrably more free, then we'll have to admit, maybe this wasn't the best idea, but for right now, New Hampshire is the best concentration of libertarians.
This November, I'll be running the world's biggest and most popular marathon, the New York City Marathon, as a member of Team Innocence Project. The Innocence Project was the first legal organization to systematically apply DNA testing to cases of wrongful convictions as a powerful tool to reveal innocence. So far in 2018, the Innocence Network has welcomed 32 wrongfully convicted people home from prison for crimes they did not commit and had a record-breaking 850 people unite in Memphis at their annual conference. The movement of freeing the innocent and reforming the criminal justice system is growing and would not be possible without your support. Together as 68 network organizations around the world, they've helped exonerate 513 people who spent a combined total of 7,804 years in prison. They've also worked together to pass over 150 laws in the U.S. to help prevent wrongful convictions. You can support the Innocence Project by going to run.freetalklive.com. That's run.freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com wants you to know about SaveItPurse.com. Since launching in 2014, over 200,000 users have saved an average of 15% for a combined $4 million using Bitcoin, or BTC. And now you can use Bitcoin Cash, BCH, to fund your account. You can save between 5 to 33% on things you're going to buy anyway when you shop using SaveItPurse.com. Add items to your cart, fund your account, select your discount, and save. SaveItPurse.com. Save ATPurse.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want and take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. 855-450-3733. We do have Discord. There were some technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, but feel free to connect to that, and we'll see if it has remedied itself, which it should, over time. So try our Discord server over at discord.lrn.fm. We know the chat is working fine there, so feel free to jump into the chat room with other Free Talk Live listeners and talk about stuff. Sometimes they talk about what we talk about here on the air, sometimes not. Tonight they have been talking about the Freedom in the 50 States rankings in there, which we are going to get back into. We're going to get into the bottom 5 because we talked about the top 5. Who is the worst this time around? We'll get into that. Bitcoin.com brings it all to you. Go over to Bitcoin.com to learn about Bitcoin, to get started. Maybe you're new to cryptocurrency and you want to get the basics. Good place to go is the Bitcoin.com Academy site. Check that out at Bitcoin.com. And also, Bitcoin.com wants you to know that SaveItPurse.com is allowing you to use Bitcoin Cash now to fund your account, where you can use SaveItPurse.com to save 20% or more, or less, it's up to you, on your purchases at Amazon. And it works well. That's SaveATPurse, SaveItPurse.com. As we continue with your calls and thoughts, Parker is on the line in Washington State. Go ahead, Parker.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Oh, not a whole lot. So over the summer earlier, I think it was in mid-July, you had a lot of people calling in talking about, like, when is it acceptable to shoot cops or whatever, which is there's a YouTube video that Larkin Rose made about that exact subject. So go
Many
check
years
that
ago.
out if you're interested.
Yeah.
It still holds up. You were also talking, I'm not sure if it was last night or the night before, but you were talking about police accountability and things like that.
Yeah, last night I mentioned that the website killedbypolice.net is now gone. The site only has a page letting people know the guy's retiring after 5 years of his life poured into the site and more than 25,000 hours into the work there. The site does have archives that are still available, so you can still go and look at the old stories that he had listed there. But ultimately, the site is no longer going to be updated, and it's yet another I guess, casualty in as far as websites go. Copblock.org still exists, but it is a shadow of its former self ever since it was sold to the top bidder, an anonymous top bidder by Ademo Freeman, the founder of Copblock, and is basically hardly ever updated. I'm one of the more prolific updaters on that site, and I hardly ever contribute to it. So it's sad to see happen, but these guys get burned out, and it's understandable. It's hard to be the target of the police for 5 years straight.
Ademo was also in jail much of that time.
He was kind of in and out of jail. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Parker.
Right. Well, just one thing that I want to touch on before we continue to the meat and potatoes of the topic. I've talked with Jeremy Hagler, I think his last name, who's the host of the Seeds of Liberty podcast, and I think one of the Freedom Fiends. And he and I have talked about or I have mentioned to him how I would like to try and write a book called License to Kill, how the police get away with murder. I don't know exactly how we would go about doing that, seeing as how if you want to go through every case in a given year, which is over 1,000 killings per year at the hands of the police,
these days,
and
that's
analyze
true,
each and every one of them, and determine, okay, this one was murdered, this one was not. Now, given the totality of all of our findings, we find that this number out of 1,000 plus killings per year is the number of murders on average that the police
I don't think you could possibly do that. For one, I mean, murder is something that is determined through legal system. It's a legal term. It's a sort of unjustified...
It's not murder when they do it legally, is what you're saying?
Well, frankly, yes.
A justified legal killing.
So this would be one person's opinion, or maybe a small team of people's opinions as to whether or not this situation was justified or not justified. It's really difficult to call. The best thing to do, to me, is just compare the United States to other countries around the world and their law enforcement's use of deadly force and our law enforcement use of deadly force. And you can look at Canada, for instance, where the demographics are remarkably similar. And you can't claim that the attitudes are too terribly different and all that other stuff. And the United States police are just more deadly.
Huh. All right. Well, then I'll probably scrap that idea. But
if you do all the research, it's worth a book. But
I would start by looking and seeing what else is out there. I mean, this is not an uncovered topic in the world of books.
Look at Radley Balco's work.
What was his? Do you remember what it was called?
No, but he just came out with a book.
I think he's had more than one.
There's one individual that has a book called Rise the Warrior Top, which may or may not be written by... Yeah. Now, anyway, I think that one way to hold police officers accountable, especially when they have been alleged to have committed murder, and bear in mind that it's really unlikely and pretty uncommon that police ever get suspended without pay. It's even more unlikely that they'll ever get fired, or if they do, they'll get hired.
So what are you driving at for police?
The idea is simply that if you want to hold someone accountable for a cop accountable for murder, And there is a little bit of risk involved in this, so judge it at your own accord. But essentially, do you remember or have you ever heard of how back in, I don't know, maybe the 60s or 70s or whatever, how people who would buy fur or fur coats, activists would
throw blood
on
say,
them.
how did the bingo? Same concept.
You're going to get charged with assault on a police officer.
And you're going to have the teeth kicked out of your mouth.
Yeah, that's not going to end very well for you, Parker. I thank you for the call tonight, or anybody who tries something like that. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Not only will you be
and
charged...
it also doesn't really hold them accountable very much. I mean,
it's a spectacle, right?
Yeah.
So if you were to get video of somebody throwing blood on a police officer, that could go viral and it could spread around. But it is going to get you absolutely arrested, and you'll get charged with an assault on a police officer, which I think is a felony. I could be wrong about that. It's certainly an assault charge, and that's not going to be easy to get out of because, well, you'll have yourself on video doing it, or whatever. Either way, even if you're not on video doing it, you're still going to get convicted because they're going to take the cops' word
Bradley's
over
always
yours.
he's always got some plan, Parker.
Well,
So-
Parker, he's always cooking up some kind of plan, and I think that's good. It's good to be
cook up plans.
creative and think of things, and it's also good to run them by people before you try them, so they can tell you, dude. Just so you know, you're going to get arrested. In fact, if you do that to anybody, you should probably get arrested. Not just a cop, right? Like, the cop's going to arrest you because he's a cop. But if you throw blood on anybody at all, that is an assault. You are doing essentially an unprivileged touching of that person. I know you're not touching them, the blood is, but still.
That'll do.
It's the equivalent of saying, I'm not touching you. I'm not. No,
right.
You're still touching that person. So the toll-free number here tonight, 855-450-FREE like freedom. Thank you for the call tonight, Parker. I appreciate it. If you want to get around better cops, then, again, getting out of places like New York, California, they just seem more laid back here in New Hampshire, I think, in a lot of ways. There is more coming up. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to goberkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. goberkey.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. Whether it's a terrible idea or a really great idea, we're happy to give you our opinions about it here on Free Talk Live. With you in the studio, by the way, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
And Mark.
Also, I think it was in our chat room last night, we had a guy come in there who was new to the Discord server, which you can join over at discord.lrn.fm. I would recommend downloading their app. It makes the experience a lot better, but they do have a web version. And the gentleman was saying he found us through the Tom Woods podcast. Because Tom Woods, sort of like we've been talking about Tom, he's been talking about Free Talk Live. And so I'd like to welcome any listeners who are newer to the program who found us through Tom Woods, or anybody who's older to the program.
It's a different sort of show. I mean, I think that's probably one of the reasons.
Well, he's probably way more intellectual, I would imagine, generally.
He's doing interviews, and he does take things much more from an academic standpoint, right, and that kind of thing. Whereas Free Talk Live, very free form. But you can't argue with our consistency.
We are open phones, and we are here 7 nights a week. Tom Woods, though, is one of the most consistent libertarian podcasts, clocking in at 5 shows per week. Every single weekday, he's there doing a new episode of The Tom Woods Show, and he's been doing them since September of 2013, which means he's racked up about 1,200 episodes so far. Great guests like Ron Paul, Judge Andrew Napolitano, David Stockman, and hundreds more. Great topics as well. Federal Reserve, net neutrality, FDA, Austrian economics, to name just a few. And, of course, he is a well-recognized author, New York Times best-selling author, has written over a dozen books, including The Politically Incorrect Guide to American History. So go get The Tom Woods Show over at tomwoods.com, or just search for Tom Woods Show in your favorite podcatcher as we go to the phones and to the fun. We'll get into the bottom 5 of the top 50 states, or the Freedom in the 50 States study that has just recently come out. I think it's the 5th edition, the 2018 edition of the Freedom in the 50 States. We'll tell you the bottom 5 coming up here in a moment. But first, we go to Dave in New Hampshire, one of the top 5 states, number 2 this year, and the most improved of all the states. Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, gentlemen. The top 2 or not, or top 5 or not, whatever we are, unfortunately, we're not pro-freedom as much as we could be, and that was demonstrated today when there was apparently another suspicionless Border Patrol checkpoint way south of the border in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Did you happen to go through it?
No, this is in Woodstock. It's northern, I'd say way south of the border, but it's still sort of northern New Hampshire.
It's about 75 miles south of the Canadian border, from what I understand. They always set it up in basically the same place in this Woodstock, this little town called Woodstock on I-93. And I actually went through this thing during Fork Fest. We took a group of activists and drove through this with cameras rolling. I don't know if you've seen the video from that, Dave, but you might want to check it out if you haven't yet. You can check the Free Keene YouTube channel and search for, probably if you search for checkpoint, it'll come right up. It's pretty ridiculous.
I saw one of the Libertarian Party candidates for Congress or something like that. He was pulled over during Pork Fest, and he got video also.
Yeah, that was an interesting video. You're referring to Justin O'Donnell's video. I think my only critique of it would be that he tried to argue with the cops, and ultimately that's never really going to get you anywhere because they don't really care what you have to say. But and of course, the more you talk to police, the worse off you tend to be. But the most interesting thing about that video was, I believe in that video, the officer threatened him and said that basically they were going to keep him in secondary until he agreed to talk, which is highly illegal, according to the ACLU here in New Hampshire, who did a checkpoint kind of know your rights presentation a few weeks ago, which I happened to be there and record. So that presentation is also on the Free Keen YouTube channel. It's about an hour long, and they go through a few different scenarios and how to respond and how what not to say, and kind of how to conduct yourself to be as legal as possible, but not give anybody any information ultimately, and be essentially a good refusenik or non-cooperative going through these checkpoints. So to anybody out there who's interested in these internal checkpoints, we've got some really good resources on the Free Keen YouTube channel about that. So I'd recommend a search for checkpoint there. But Dave, your thoughts on this federal invasion into New Hampshire's territory?
Well, I guess three things. The thing I've done about this so far is I called local talk radio to complain about it.
Excellent.
And the second thing would be, I guess, what you can do, what the rest of the viewers can do if you want. You can just, if you use Facebook, you can come by the Facebook page called Checkpoint Free New Hampshire and keep an eye on it. The more people are watching us, the less danger we're in. And that's somebody else's page, but I like it, Checkpoint Free New Hampshire. And what was the third thought? Well, I mean, this is a reminder of why you don't. This is why you do need an independent movement, because they would not I suspect London probably doesn't do this to Scotland, right? Because you don't want to create any additional waves that might tip Scotland over the edge into independence, right? So if we had an independence movement that was stronger, then they'd be less likely to do that.
Yeah, we definitely need more secession activists to get up here and get active and get vocal about why New Hampshire should leave the United States. It's an evil organization, and I don't think we should want anything to do with them.
One thing that I found interesting about the border checkpoint thing that went on today was, or whenever it went on
today.
Yeah, they gave
usually it's a few days.
The Woodstock Police Department, the town in which this was conducted, no warning. Basically, they let them know that morning, hey, we're going to do it here.
It's the federal government. They don't have to. They can do whatever they want. Well, it's their interstate.
The sheriff in that town could go in and run them off. He's the highest elected law enforcement official in town.
Can he? Can a sheriff run off the federal government from the federal interstate?
He could.
I'd love to see him try.
Well, I mean...
we are going to... I hear rumor there might actually be... I don't know I should say this. I won't say where. There might be a Libertarian candidate for sheriff running somewhere in New Hampshire. I can't say where at this point because it'll spoil the surprise. But that'll be interesting news because I don't know if that's happened before. I know our friend and co-host Chris Reitman from Thursday Nights.
Yeah, there's the guy that moved down to Chile ran for sheriff at one point.
In New Hampshire?
Yes.
Frank Sabo?
That's him.
Oh, I don't know who that is. But anyway, was he an actual libertarian?
He was a little loony, but seemed libertarian.
I don't know. I can't comment. Anyway, our friend and co-host Chris Reitman, who's a Thursday night co-host here on Free Talk Live, he tried to get qualified for the ballot one year, but did not quite make it. He got like 72 out of 75. They just disqualified enough signatures to stop him from getting on the ballot. So we don't have those ballot signature requirements this year, so we might actually see it be a success for somebody. Anyway, Dave, anything else you want to share about the topic? Because I share your concerns, and these things need to be stopped.
To the anti-illegal crowd out there, this is a reminder: they don't just target illegal aliens. The state police show up at some of these, and they arrest people or charge them for things that have nothing to do with immigration.
Well, actually, there has been an interesting development on this front. The ACLU of New Hampshire earlier this year did win a lawsuit that essentially defeated the state's ability to participate in these things. So you're correct. Earlier in the year, there were, and last year, they did have local cops and state cops at these things, and they were using illegal dog sniffs to determine whether or not marijuana was in these cars. That, again, these cars are not being stopped for any probable cause. They're just stopping every single car, and they're running a dog up and down the lines of the cars. You can see it happen in the video, which we took at the Free Keen YouTube channel. And so they basically threw all those cases out after the fact. They said this was illegally gathered evidence. You did not have a right to, run this dog up and down these cars. So they basically, the state lost that case, and that's why when we went through during Fork Fest, there wasn't a single local or state cop to be seen. It was all federal border patrol. So they changed the makeup. They were still running a damn dog up and down all the cars, but nobody was getting arrested.
A federal dog.
No, right. Well, nobody was getting arrested by state and
this
local
dog
cops.
represents America.
So we've had a partial success on this thanks to the ACLU of New Hampshire, but we haven't had the success of being able to ban them from the state yet. And I hope that we see that sometime soon. Thank you, Dave, for the call tonight. That's Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. And I know that you're not driving anymore, Dave, but I hope at some point we'll get to see a Ridley Report.
I still drive.
Oh, okay. I know you told me you'd quit doing the car thing. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Well, I hope we'll see Dave Ridley get up there and go through one of these checkpoints, because he's always interesting how he interacts with the police on Ridley Report, which is a great YouTube channel. There's more coming up here. This is Free Talk Live.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses on the setup page, and then load the app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. AnyPay.global. Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will bring network, economic, and technological improvements across the network. And the official Zencash wallet is available for multiple distributions. Learn more at Zencash.com. Zencash.com.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
This is Jessica Armand, founder of My Magic Mud. Our team helped organize a successful effort to remove fluoride from our city's water supply. This is our passion. My Magic Mud Oral Care purifies and brightens your smile naturally. GCN listeners, please support my family business by purchasing our products from your local health food store. We're also available at CVS Pharmacy, or visit us at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off now with coupon code GCN10.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Pure Life Water, helping you drink better and live better by providing a zero-calorie alternative to sugary drinks. Visit us at nestle-purelife.us. When kids are playing, they often don't want to stop to keep hydrated, so send them out with a bottle of water and encourage them to take frequent drink breaks, or call them inside for a quick sip. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that you want. And the number here is toll-free. It's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Or jump into our Discord server over at discord.lrn.fm. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Johnson.
And Mark.
Just to correct something you said on the air, Mark, you mentioned I talked about how I don't think that we'd had a Libertarian candidate for sheriff here yet, at least in the dozen years that I've been here in New Hampshire. I can't speak to anything that happened before that. But I don't recall hearing that happen, and you had brought up some guy named Frank Szabo, and the name rang a bell, but I couldn't remember the details, so a quick Google did reveal that you were incorrect. Frank Szabo is a Republican, or was a Republican when he ran for Hillsborough County. Claims here he is a Free Stater. However, he's also a quitter because he left New Hampshire and is now living in some other country.
He still has
somewhere else.
2.5 years to show up and live in New Hampshire in order to fulfill his statement of intent.
Do you think he's going to do that?
I don't have any opinion one way or the other.
Well, I got to say, if he doesn't come back, I'll be happy because he doesn't seem very libertarian to me, even though he's a so-called Free Stater, which the Free Stater means generally somebody who's joined the Free State Project, which says that they believe, if I recall the statement of intent correctly, it's something like I'll work to, the maximum effort, or so I'll put in the maximum effort possible to achieve a government that does nothing more than the protection of life, liberty, and the pursuit of property or happiness. I don't have it in front of me. It was something like that. And one of the issues libertarians do disagree on is abortion. That is something that libertarians tend to not have any kind of level of an agreement over at what point a human life begins.
Most of them agree that the government has effed it up.
Most would agree that the libertarian position should be the government should not fund abortion, nor should the government prohibit abortion. That's the best, in my opinion, libertarian position because it kind of keeps the government out of the question. This guy, on the other hand, here's what he had to say about it. He said, quote, "Abortion on demand is murder," he said in a press release. This is from the newhampshire.com, which is a union leader website. He said further, quote, "Once elected, Sheriff Szabo will arrest anyone involved in the murder of a citizen of Hillsborough County."
It wouldn't be where I would hang my sheriff run.
Well, he lost.
Yeah.
So anyway, so just to clarify, still, nobody has claimed there has actually been a libertarian candidate for sheriff here in New Hampshire. In the
Libertarian Party candidate.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I understand. It's just best to say Libertarian Party in referring because it can cause confusion.
Okay, thank you for being clear on that. The toll-free number tonight.
I was wrong. Yep. It's best to say LP.
855. Well, don't say LP because that's confusing. Nobody knows what LP stands for.
Fine.
Libertarian Party.
It's that gas that you get.
Liquid propane?
Yes.
Liquid propane, yeah.
That's probably what most people would think if they heard the letters LP put together. So you can bring up whatever you want here, and the number is 855-450-FREE. Let's get down to the bottom five. The Freedom in the 50 States came out. It's the most recent study. Now, it's the 2018 study, but it's looking at numbers from 2 years
2016.
ago. Yeah, numbers up to, so presumably 2014 through 2016, because the last study was done in, I think, 2016 and looked at like 2014 and prior to that. So New Hampshire was number 2. Florida somehow got up to number 1 by some methodology. I don't know. Number 3.
Apparently by having freedom.
Yeah, right. Talk to anybody who's actually from Florida.
Oh, you defended this.
Number
you defended this list up and down until it showed something you didn't like.
Of course.
That is not a very consistent or logical position.
The most consistent position is that New Hampshire is the most free place. It's undisputed with the exception of this particular study. And they did point out that...
this study is the way that people have called it the freest place up to this point.
No, I would have called it that anyway. I was giving that as an example of one data point.
You have nothing but
you can bring up all kinds of examples of how New Hampshire is so much more free in so many ways than other states. The regulatory burden
it's
here
more consistently free
across the board. It is more free across the board, no doubt about it. Now there may be some areas in which New Hampshire is not as free.
I don't know what across the board means.
Just in general, New Hampshire is a more free place. There's less to deal with as far as regulation.
Not more free than Florida. Otherwise, the Freedom in the 50 States test would have said that New Hampshire was number one.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers.
You're just bitter that you moved from Florida and now
I'm really
it's
not
number
bitter
one.
at all. I'm not bitter at all. If I were bitter, I'd move back to Florida.
I know what bitter sounds like, and I hear it. Bitter, table for one.
No, maybe you're projecting on me, Mark.
I'm not bitter.
You wanted to move back to Florida for a long time, so maybe you're just projecting.
Why would I want to move to Florida?
You go there every year for like 4 months.
That's where my mother lives.
Okay, well, you're mama's boy then, or whatever. I don't know. I am definitely not bitter. I love New Hampshire.
Not an argument.
You're the one who's been talking trash about New Hampshire on the air on these airwaves for the last few years, and you're the one. You're the bitter one. You're the one who's talking about moving to some island nation. Sorry, Johnson, what was that?
I said I'm definitely hearing things that are not an argument.
It's not arguments. If I move to an island nation, it would be because it is more free than New Hampshire. What I would say is that I don't have the sort of chauvinistic fidelity to New Hampshire that you do.
I don't have a fidelity to New Hampshire.
Because you can look at facts on a computer screen and hold on just a second. You can look at facts on a computer screen and ignore them.
It has nothing to do with facts. It has everything to do with the fact that we have a libertarian migration here that is absolutely having an effect here. Unlike Florida, where libertarians have no effect whatsoever. If Florida happens to be more free in some areas, it's not because of what the libertarians were doing there. It's because of total random chance.
Well, it's not random chance if they're beating you for 3 years in a row. It is a freer place by these rankings.
By this ranking, that's what it says.
And this is nearly the only ranking other than Ian saying crap on the radio.
I'm sorry, you're wrong. You ignored all the points that Rachael Goldsmith made earlier, where she rattled off a few different studies that showed that New Hampshire is the number one place for a variety of different things.
Right, to raise a family and do a bunch of other things. This is
like
called
not get murdered, raise a family.
Freedom in the 50 states, and it is a ranking of freedom.
Mm-hmm. It's a ranking of freedoms. Yep, that's one ranking you can look at.
Look, buddy, you just
how many libertarians are in Florida?
You need. It doesn't matter how many
of them are elected.
Apparently, see, that's causation and correlation. You were absolutely right. New Hampshire number one for libertarian movers. Apparently,
right.
That was not meaningful for the last 3 years.
If the libertarians had chosen Wyoming, I would have been all about that. If the libertarians had chosen Alaska, I would have been all about that.
Most libertarians didn't vote for the Free State Project.
There were 2,500 approximately early voters in the Free State Project.
Half of the people who had signed up at that
point.
point.
About half, that's correct. And that's what you should expect, because sometimes you
I am not second-guessing New Hampshire.
No, you were acting like I was all about New Hampshire, some sort of blind person regarding New Hampshire. No, it's about the movement. It's about the migration. Wherever that migration ended up is what I would be all about. I was one of the people who said I would go to any of those 10 states that the Free State Project voters voted on. If it was because they allowed some people to opt out of certain states. So you could sign up for the Free State Project, but if you didn't feel like moving to Alaska, you could just decide not to, and that's fine. I was willing to move to Alaska if Alaska was the winner. I was willing to move to Wyoming. I don't think they would have been the right choices, but I was going to do it.
I think Alaska was my choice. In retrospect,
it was my third choice. I ranked them New Hampshire, Wyoming, Alaska.
It has a very robust secession movement and things like that. So yes, they do have that oil redistribution thing, but that's not welfare. Yeah. That's a redistribution of public resource.
If I were in Alaska and we had the same committed community of people moving to Alaska as we do here in New Hampshire, I would be just as excited about about all the cool things about
all
Alaska.
Those things are irrelevant. New Hampshire is the home of the Free State Project and has been for 15 years.
It's the
There's
home
no
of the New
changing
Hampshire Freedom Migration.
That's
The Free
true.
State Project is just one part of that.
Agreed.
Where we've had other people coming here who are not Free State Project participants.
So could you say it's number one for libertarians per capita?
Oh, absolutely, by
Great.
far.
Then use
and that's going to result in more freedom over time. Florida is not going to become more free over time.
I tend to think it's not, but
that's
it
where
did
the
beat
New
out New
Yorkers
Hampshire.
move. That's where the New Yorkers
It
move.
beat New Hampshire out. Well, the New Yorkers that are old and no longer want to pay school taxes because they don't have any kids in school. So, maybe de facto you get a more libertarian place that way. I have no clue, but I know that it beat New Hampshire in the last 3 years in a row, and that gives New Hampshire something to achieve.
There's no doubt New Hampshire has some things that it needs to work on. It is not a free state. It is a project that we have here to work towards more freedom. Nobody should expect New Hampshire to have been number one right out the gate, but it was pretty much at the top.
It was number one right out the gate.
It was pretty much
And
right up
lost
at the
that.
top. Well, again, they changed how they calculated things.
Some things have changed.
We were number one last 2 years, and then they changed all retroactively to go back to number two or something like that. So I don't know what it was that they changed.
Okay, so the Free State Project has focused a great deal on, and libertarians generally have focused on the state house, and they've forgotten things like land use rules, which are basically relegated to the communities. The communities have got some really crappy land use rules, and the State Environmental Protection Agency is really, really tough on some issues. And these are things that Free Staters tend not to be educated on and tend not to focus on. I would just love to see some taxes lowered because my property taxes were much lower in Florida than they are here in New Hampshire.
The toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can bring up whatever you want. We've got to talk about the bottom five on the Freedom in the 50 States.
I would prefer to do that.
The real losers here, besides Mark. It's Free Talk Live.
If you owe any money to the IRS, you need to call *1234. That's *1234. Uncle Sam has the power to make your life miserable. You could stop the IRS collections process right now by calling *1234. When you call the Tax Defense Center, you'll get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate your back taxes, including penalties and interest. *1234. *1234 could save you thousands on your back taxes. You could also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you have entered into a payment plan and can't make the payments. It's your hard-earned money. Stop Uncle Sam right now. Make the call that could help you end the worry today. *1234. That's *1234. *1234. *1234.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. SaveItPurse.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.73 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,190 per ounce. Zen Cash is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,439. Antiwar.com reports, speaking on the 65th anniversary of the 1953 CIA coup against Iran, the Iranian foreign minister accused the newly established Iran Action Group of being an attempt by the U.S. government to repeat the coup, but that it will fail. The State Department announced the establishment of the Iran Action Group last week, with Brian Hook appointed to lead it as a special representative for Iran. Exactly what the group will be doing is not entirely clear. The State Department did try to present Hook's responsibility as coordinating all anti-Iran activities within the department, however, which suggests that it's reasonable for Iran to conclude the goal is regime change, despite some Trump administration officials denying that they are seeking regime change. Iran's foreign minister says U.S. attempts at regime change will come through pressure, misinformation, and demagoguery. The U.S. has been fairly open about spreading misinformation about Iran and trying to organize protest against the government, and in recent weeks has presented those protests as proof the Iranian government needs to make radical changes. Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will advance the decentralization of the Zencash network and ensure the utility not only of Zencash as a currency, but also the future services that will be layered in the infrastructure. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports a Michigan judge on Monday ordered the state's health director to stand trial on involuntary manslaughter charges over 2 deaths linked to a water crisis in Flint. Nick Lyon, the highest-ranking state official to face charges related to the city's tainted water supply, which was not properly treated when officials decided to draw from the Flint River in April 2014, switching from its previous source of Lake Huron. In addition to causing lead poisoning in children, the improperly treated water supply led to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in Flint, killing Robert Skidmore and John Snyder. Lyon was charged in June 2017 for the 2 deaths, as well as a felony count of misconduct in office. The charging document said Lyon showed gross negligence when he did not alert the public about the Legionnaire's outbreak until a year after he became aware of it. The document says he took steps to suppress information illustrating obvious and apparent harms that were likely to result in serious injury. Defendant Lyon willfully disregarded the deadly nature of the Legionnaire's disease outbreak. Prosecutors say Lyon instructed an official to stop an analysis that would have helped determine the crisis's cause. On Monday, when ordering the trial, 67th District Court Judge David Goggins said, "I find this behavior corrupt." Lyon could face 15 years in prison if convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The misconduct charge carries a possible 5-year sentence. Governor Rick Snyder named Lyon to the position on April 10, 2015, when he created a new agency that merged the Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Department of Community Health. Lyon had led the latter department. He is one of 15 current and former city and state officials facing charges for criminal wrongdoing in the Flint water scandal. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said that it is within his agency's power to eliminate rebates on prescription drug purchases, a key element of the Trump administration's plan to lower prescription medicine costs. Such rebates are negotiated in the United States by pharmacy benefit managers to lower cost of medicines for their clients, which include large employers and health plans that cover tens of millions of Americans. Drug makers say they are under pressure to provide rebates to the few pharmacy benefit managers that dominate the market, which include CVS, Express Scripts, and United Health's Optum, and that those payers do not pass on enough of the savings to patients, a contention the pharmacy benefit managers dispute. The drug makers say the rebates force them to raise the price on their therapies over time to preserve their business. The Trump administration has been receptive to that argument. Azar, in an interview with Reuters on Friday, said rebates create a perverse incentive to continuously raise drug prices. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
It's the Onion Radio News. Hager physicists have created quantum slacks. This is Doyle Redland reporting. The stunning announcement that a team of Hager physicists has successfully developed quantum slacks was made this morning at a press conference in Philadelphia. According to Dr. Daniel Chang, head of the Hager team, conventional notions about the physical properties and possibilities of slacks have been turned on their heads.
We are on the verge of unzipping the secrets of creation and peering into the pants of God himself. It appears the very fabric of the universe may well be a smart cotton twill weave.
However, Chang urged caution in further research after tests conducted last month at the Hager Pants Propulsion Collider Laboratory in Dallas suggested the possible existence of so-called anti-pants, which could, in theory, initiate a chain reaction resulting in no pants at all. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. We're launching into the third hour of the program. You can bring up whatever you want, although coming up, Johnson's going to tell us about the frustrations, the challenges in running a website these days. What with all the federal government rules trying to tell you how you got to do that, how you have to control the web postings of commenters now, apparently, if you don't want to get arrested for trafficking in sex victims or whatever. We can tell you more about it. It's insane. We'll talk about that on the way here. But we're still talking about the freedom in the 50 states. We did cover, do a great detail, the number 1 and number 2, and then briefly the top 5 on the freedom in the 50 states. It's a new study that apparently retroactively changed how they were looking at the numbers in the previous studies. So all the, as you just told me during the break, forget everything you knew
about the freedom in the 50 states, which was an important study.
Yeah, so earlier,
but things changed.
Just earlier in the show, we had a guy on from California, and I told him California moved up the rankings from 49 to 48. Apparently not, because with the recalculations. So this was my old information.
Just were 48?
Yeah, they were at number 48 for the last 4 or 5 years that I've looked at. I've only looked at the last. So the last document that we saw, they were ranked at number 49, but there was this recalculation that happened. Now they're at 48 last time instead of 49, and this time California's at number 48. So let me give you the bottom 5 here, according to, I actually have the actual spreadsheet. So you can download this massive spreadsheet that's got 6 sheets in it, and it's got all kinds of data. But just sorting for overall freedom and looking at the actual decimal sort of rank. So there's 2 types of rankings. There's we put the 50 states in order from 1 to 50.
And that's what people sort of, the consumer level, that's what they want, right?
And then there's the score that each state receives based on the different factors as far as what's what.
So if a state beats another state out by 1/10 of a point, they're pretty much on par. But if a state beats another state out by 5 points, that's a big difference.
Right. Now, in this case, everything's within 1 point. So basically the score goes from like +1 to -1. And so everything in between is like 0.5, 0.4, 0.3, -0.2, -0.3. Do you see what I'm saying? Yep. So there's that scale. So at the very, very bottom, you've got New York at number 50 with a -0.81.
Okay.
At Hawaii is at number 49 with a -0.60. That means
that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. That's essentially 0.6, so take
basically 2
thirds. So it's a third basically. It's a third of a difference between Hawaii and New York as far as their freedom ranking score is concerned, even though it's just that 149 to 50. Then you go up to number 48 to California with a -0.4. So you got New York -0.8, California -0.6. Hawaii -0.6, California -0.4, then New Jersey at number 46. I believe it's held its place because I think it was 46 last time around.
Sounds right.
As well, -0.35, and then Vermont at the number 45 position. 50, 49, 48, 46.
Yeah. Vermont is number 46.
I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong ranks. There's a lot of numbers here.
Yeah. Vermont is number 46.
Vermont is number 46. New Jersey's number 47. I'm sorry. And then Maryland at number 45. So Vermont with a -0.27. By comparison...
So between 0.4, the scale is basically from 1 to -1. The number 45 state is 0.25. The number 50 state is 0.85. It's a huge jump from 45 to 50.
Correct. And then if you go back up to the top 5, Florida with a 0.45, positive 0.45, New Hampshire with a 0.34, Indiana with 0.30, Colorado 0.23, and Nevada 0.2. So a very, very large difference between New York, the number 50 states, and just the number 49 state, but of course a tremendous gulf of a distance between the bottom 5 and the top 5.
So in thinking about this today, I like that they went back and retroactively looked at all the years and then redid the whole list.
Because they changed their methods.
Because that gives, for one, the ownership of the Freedom in the 50 States changed from like the Mercatus Center to the Cato Institute.
Mm-hmm.
So this gives Cato an opportunity to brand it as theirs in a special way.
But it's still Jason Sorens's work.
Yeah,
he's one of the main characters behind it, and that was the founder of the Free State Project.
Right. And that, to me, also gives high credence to the list because the founder of the Free State Project, among 2 professors that came up with this list, he was willing to go ahead and move, the state that he picked for the Free State Project and the state that he moved to from number 1 to number 2. So that says to me that the rankings are important and relevant.
I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong numbers for the top 5. I was looking at the wrong column. It's 0.48 positive for Florida for overall freedom, 0.43 for New Hampshire. I had said 0.34 for New Hampshire, so 0.48 to 0.43. So a difference between Florida and New Hampshire of 0.05 basically between those two, dropping down to Indiana at a 0.34, Colorado at a 0.33, so very little difference between Indiana and Colorado, and then Nevada at 0.32. So the top 2 pretty close, Florida and New Hampshire.
I would expect New Hampshire to overtake Florida on this list because there are people here that are working hard within the system to incrementally change.
This stops at 2016, and it was in 2017 when New Hampshire passed some pretty important legislation. We saw decrim, a little decrim, but it's still more than Florida.
Marijuana decrim.
Marijuana decrim, thank you. And we also saw the concealed carry abolishment, meaning you can still get a permit if you want it, but you don't have to have, they call it constitutional carry. You don't have to have a concealed carry permit in order to conceal carry. Of course, felons exempted, but for the average person.
Right, nobody can carry. The federal law exempts, there's no felons can carry any weapon at all.
Wait a minute. There's some things that a felon can carry, right? Like a sword?
Any firearm is the term I should have said.
You could carry an umbrella sword, correct, as a felon?
Well, you could carry, I presume, this is not legal advice, but I believe you can, at the very least, transport an antique black powder pistol.
That's like pre-1897 or something like that?
1898, and it, in most states you could hold something like that. You could probably transport it to the range and fire it, I would guess. Now, then again, I'm not a lawyer, but the federal law doesn't exempt swords or sharp metal or anything like that for felons, although some states do, including New Hampshire.
Now, there was some bad news out of New Hampshire a few years ago, and I'm wondering if this got factored into this one, Mark. Do you remember when that Medicaid expansion happened?
Yeah,
there was a bunch of hubbub, and I feel like that might have been 2016. But there was a bunch of hubbub about
New
that.
Hampshire slipped down in 2014.
What if with the black powder musket thing, you do like the old timey pirates do, and because they could only fire 1 round, so they would just have straps and they would carry like 4 guns, 10 of them, just strap them on all the time, just walk around.
I have been told that you are not allowed, unless you're dressed up like a Revolutionary War character or something like that, you wouldn't be allowed to carry a black powder pistol like just on your hip as protection or something. However, the federal law doesn't have anything to say about air rifles, and best I know, no state does either. Then again, I'm not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. But there are certainly, I know that PyramidAir.com sells a Bullpup 357 5-round repeating air rifle. So, yeah, you could, a felon can carry a gun that you can pull the trigger on 5 times. It releases 5 bullets that would be of killing speed, best I can tell. This is why these laws are antiquated. Some air rifles
can be, you could use the pellet to fire a 22 round. I mean, that's possible.
How would you do that?
You put the 22 round down the end of the barrel.
and then the pellet strikes a 22 round and then fires it in sort of a haphazard, weird way without rifling or something. Yes, you could do that. But that's a single shot. I have a 50 caliber single shot air rifle that I have used on pests and things like that. Pests get big in New Hampshire, mind you. And, so.
So there you go. There's your top and the bottom of the Freedom in the 50 States study. You can go and take a much closer look at how they calculate these numbers. And they've got breakdowns right on the front page on their map where you can look at the different categories. So it's not, obviously we're talking overall. There's also fiscal freedom, regulatory freedom, personal freedom, economic freedom, lawsuit, land, marriage, education, occupational, and there's more. There's many more categories to this. So take a look when you get a chance. freedomin50states.org. We'll continue here. Let's talk about online content regulation, the challenges of it in this highly litigious and highly legal day and age. Here it's Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the Crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The Crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information, so pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the Crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the Crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster, so be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733, where we all just noticed within the last hour, it looks like, Bitcoin just shot up 300.
Last half hour, yeah.
Last half hour. 300. Basically, it happened in a 10-minute time frame. $300 to right now. It's going up still. $6,800. And $22 at the moment.
Zencash is up 14% today. Actually, almost 15%.
Oh, really? That's much more than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's only up 5% today.
Yeah. So Zencash is performing very well today.
Cool. So yeah, lots of stuff to talk about here. Open phones as always. You can take control of the airwaves as we go to those phone calls, your calls and thoughts here. Oh, also, I want to make sure you know about AnyPay. If you are into cryptocurrency, as we are, and you want to be able to accept crypto at your point of sale. Let's say you do a retail establishment. You're a manager or an owner there, and you want to be able to take crypto from your customers. Just go and sign up over at anypay.global. If you already have a tablet at your register, you're halfway done. You sign up at anypay.global, and when I say sign up, I'm not talking about some elaborate, involved process. I'm talking about username, password, you're in. In fact, I've actually criticized AnyPay for having too easy of a sign-up because they don't even have like an email verification. It's not one of those things where you have to type the password in twice or the email in twice or like get an email to confirm. You know, like on every other site where you sign up for something, they'll send you an email at the email and you have to click a link. They don't even have that with AnyPay. So make sure you type in the email exactly right when you do it, because they will instantly create your account. There's literally no verification whatsoever. They don't care who you are. They just want you to be able to accept crypto.
This is history-changing technology.
It is cutting edge, that's for sure. It's so new that
That doesn't mean it will. I'm saying it could.
Yeah. You're on the cutting edge if you are using this technology. And because it is the cutting edge, there's still some bugs that are getting ironed out, so keep that in mind. But they do have support now available at the AnyPay website, which is anypay.global. And it's something that was started by a former co-host here on Free Talk Live, our buddy Derek J. Freeman and his boyfriend or partner, Stephen. They've been putting this together, and they've done an amazing job. So go to anypay.global, get started. Once you get the account created, which will take you all of 20 seconds, you then put your crypto addresses for your personal wallet as the owner of the business. You put your crypto addresses into their setup page, and then you load the app on the tablet, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. We're going to the Discord on-air call-in line room where David is on the line in New Mexico. Go ahead, David. David, are you with us?
Weird audio.
It sounds like he might be listening to the show on some other method.
With a delay?
Yeah, it could be. We're just going to put him on hold for just a moment here. One of the things with Discord is unless we've joined the room with you, you can't hear while you wait. And I literally just joined right there when I said that I was going to put him on. So
this is a little unfair.
Most of the time, we will join your room.
Usually, you will
advance.
verbally chasten somebody who's listening in some inappropriate way, but in that case, it's
that makes sense.
Yeah, a little unfair.
I didn't give him any warning, and normally, if you're on Discord, we'll join the room in advance of taking your call, so you'll hear us call for you. All right, so Johnson, let's start into your story. You had a TechCrunch?
TechDirt. Much more libertarian site than TechCrunch. This story by Mike Masnick, who is very freedom-oriented over there, and he says, before you talk about how easy content moderation is, you should listen to this. Says, for quite some time now, we've been trying to demonstrate just how impossible it is to expect internet platforms to do a consistent or error-free job of moderating content. Especially at the scale they're at, it's an impossible request. Not least because so much of what goes into content moderation decisions is entirely subjective about what's good and what's bad. And not everyone agrees on that. It's why I've been advocating for moving controls out to the end users rather than expecting platforms to be the final arbiters. It's also part of the reason why we ran that content moderation game at a conference a few months ago. I don't know, I guess they did some sort of content moderation
demo.
game. Yeah, a demo. In which no one could fully agree on what to do about the content examples we presented. For every single one, there were at least some people who argued for keeping the content up or taking it down. On Twitter, I recently joked that anyone with opinions on content moderation should first have to read Professor Kate Klonick's recent Harvard Law review paper on the new governors, the people, rules, and processes on governing online speech. It's one of the most thorough and comprehensive explanations of the realities and history of content moderation. But if reading a 73-page law review isn't your cup of tea, it
sounds like torture.
My next recommendation is to spend an hour listening to the new Radiolab podcast entitled Post No Evil.
That, on the other hand, is usually quite enjoyable. Radiolab produces great content, as pretty much all that NPR stuff does.
Says, I think it provides the best representation of just how impossible it is to moderate this kind of content at scale. It discusses the history of content moderation, but also deftly shows how impossible it is to do it at any scale with any sort of consistency without creating new problems.
Right. It's one thing if somebody drops into the Free Talk Live chat room on our Discord server and posts offensive images, and one of our mods happens to notice it and then gets rid of it after the fact a little bit later on or whatever. That doesn't happen that often. If you're dealing with, because we're a small show, I mean, we're not really, even though we're on 190 radio stations, we're just not that big of a show. If you've got, on the other hand, hundreds of thousands of users. We've got 1,000 users.
If you compare it to Reddit, one of the most popular sites on the internet, and people are just posting things
hundreds,
constantly.
if not thousands upon hundreds of thousands of subreddits, and now each subreddit has its own moderators and everything. But the more popular a platform becomes, the more out of control the moderation capabilities are. I mean, it's just insane. I can't even imagine having to do a large platform moderation. And now the government's telling you, if you don't clean up this, content, let's say there's this Sesta Fosta that we talked about in great detail. I don't know if they mentioned it in the story.
Laws.
Yeah, thank you for that. Sesta Fosta was about to say that this was the laws that have been passed within the last year that basically say that if on your site somebody has posted what can be interpreted as personal ads for prostitution services, if there, I believe it was more than 5 of those ads in a certain window of time, might have been a year or whatever, then that basically means you're a sex trafficker. And they're going to arrest you.
These
the operator of the site.
These postings are very, very difficult. Well, not very, very difficult. They're difficult to discern.
They're coded.
Right, they're coded, and you don't always know what this terminology is. So if, for whatever reason, some law enforcement officer decides, well, they haven't done enough, and the law says, and blah, 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 the law is important, let's just go ahead and take them down. You, right now, are a child sex trafficker. You don't have any idea.
And they'll tell you that ignorance is no excuse.
Right, because, well, there's a 12th,
you should have known all
there's
the code.
A 12th century maxim that refers to English common law, where basically no victim, no crime existed, and now they just employ that 12th century maxim in a completely inappropriate fashion.
That's right.
Well, the article goes on here to talk about the, in that Radiolab Post No Evil episode, it says, it discusses the history of content moderation, but also definitely shows how impossible it is to do it at scale with any sort of consistency without creating new problems.
Let's talk more about it. Yep. I suppose there is more to it. We'll continue with that. And if you are a website moderator and you want to weigh in, you're certainly welcome to join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
This is Jessica Armand, creator of the fluoride-free oral care brand, My Magic Mud. You're going to love our new products. Our cutting-edge oral rinses deeply soothe your mouth and fight cavities naturally. Our breath spray, My Magic Mist, will invigorate your senses with essential oils of peppermint and eucalyptus. Our clinically proven toothpaste and tooth powders whiten your teeth and detoxify your mouth. Buy discounted bundles direct at mymagicmud.com and take 10% off with coupon code GCN10. mymagicmud.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Right now, it's looking like tonight's record $500 million Powerball drawing could be cancelled, as embarrassed lottery officials have admitted they lost the balls. Douglas Bronstein, Deputy Director of the Multi-State Lottery Association, addressed the press moments ago. We have a quote, "We know how important the balls are to a successful drawing. I saw them the other day and I'm sure they'll turn up somewhere." Bronstein says it's usually Marketing Director Ben Callahan's job to keep an eye on the balls, but when reached for comment, Callahan said he just sits next to the balls. It's not his job to know where they are every second of every day. According to Bronstein, it's crucial they find the balls before tonight's drawing. Quote, "We'd love to use different balls, but these ones have the numbers on them." Bronstein added that once they figure out where the balls are, they promise to keep them in some sort of case instead of just lying around the office. When we return, we'll meet some of the undeterred Powerball superfans who are camping out before the big drawing dressed as their favorite numbers.
This is the Onion News Network.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. And join us in real life coming up in February. I know that seems like a long way from now, but it's really only 6 months. And that'll be here before you know it. So go to anarchapulco.com and use our code FTL, like Free Talk Live, to get 15% off of your tickets to Anarchapulco 2019. I had the pleasure of going to this event for the last 2 years. Mark, I think you've been to 3 of them so far, 3 of the 4. And it's really a great event. I would say it's the premier libertarian, voluntarist, anarchist event globally. They had record attendance this year, and they sold out the event in 2018. Ron Paul was one of the speakers, and he's coming back in 2019. So if you ever wanted to see Ron Paul, let's be realistic. Your opportunities are going to be fewer and fewer as time goes on. He's in his 80s, and obviously we hope that Ron Paul can keep going as long as possible. But at some point, he's going to stop speaking. You know, he's just going to he's going to die at some point. So let's be realistic. You want to see him speak, he's going to be at Anarchapulco, and
he's not going to make
huge...
the Singularity cut.
Probably not. How many of us will? I don't know.
Don't worry. We'll have a simulation of him.
It's probably true.
I have the character name Ron Paul in Second Life.
Do you? When's the last time you were logged into Second Life?
I don't remember.
Do they let you hold the character name for a decade if it's been that long since you logged in?
I don't know. I should try and see if I can't remember.
Does it
my
just
password.
repeat buy gold in the Fed over and over again?
I should try and figure out a way to set up a bot that does that.
Anarchapulco.com. It's going to be a great event. It's not just about Ron Paul, though. He's just their headliner. They've got other great speakers. Judge Napolitano, Doug Casey, Larkin Rose, David Icke, apparently also announced recently. So you've got a whole range of topics will be discussed, and Free Talk Live will be broadcasting from the event. It was great seeing a lot of our listeners there this year, hanging out with some of you, and that was cool. It's a really great event. It's real low-key, laid back. You're on the beach in Acapulco, Mexico, and it's really, I can't speak highly enough of the event. That's why we waive our broadcast fee to go down there. They pay for our hotel and our tickets and get us there, and we just have a good old time. So anarchapulco.com, use code FTL, get your 15% off there. As we go to David, he's in New Mexico. We'll talk more about content moderation and the challenge of it, this insurmountable challenge, basically, that Johnson's sharing with us. David, you're on Free Talk Live, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And first of all, I had to hang up you on the Discord because I couldn't understand your audio coming over.
Oh, we might. Yeah, it looks like there's still issues with the Discord tonight. Sorry about that. Thanks for doing that. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. And since we're on that topic, I don't know if there's anything you can do to bump up your volume when you're, for me on the phone. When I put you on speakerphone, it's no louder than if I have you off speakerphone, which is different than other radio stations.
That would be a question for the board operator. That'd be a question for the person who's answering your call at the network. They handle that. Anyway, go ahead with your thoughts tonight.
Yeah, my topic that I wanted to comment on has changed as your show has gone along. The most recent thing I want to comment on is the Freedom in the 50 thing as it pertains to New Mexico. But let me throw this in. One thing for your thought process on firearms is you can load repeating weapons like your standard six-shooter from cowboy movies, that kind of thing. You can load those with black powder. So that would be a black powder powered weapon that is not a muzzle loader. It's a breech loader.
And then you can use wax to seal the cylinders
to keep the powder in,
to keep it fine. I mean, you then have.
How does it ignite? How do you ignite the?
I don't know the specifics of it. This is just what I've been told is that you can do this. I don't. Maybe it's got like caps in it, ignition cap. I don't know. But
have you done this, David?
I've watched it done. I don't personally. Well, I've gone out to that SAS, that Single Action Shooting Society. They have a range here in New Mexico, a national range, and fired those kind of weapons. And none of mine were ever loaded with black powder, but I've seen everything done. And in the case where you actually put the powder in the cylinder of the revolver and seal it with wax, like Mark was referring to, you have percussion caps that can be used. But you can also load black powder into a reloadable brass shell casing.
Yeah.
So you're putting black powder instead of smokeless powder, which was the next step. That was the next step after putting powder in the revolving cylinder itself. The next step was the invention of the reusable casing, and they put black powder in the casing. And then when smokeless powder came along, then they put smokeless powder in the casing. But anyway,
and the nice thing about the black powder is when if you miss the person when you fire, you still set them on fire.
I want to let you know, David, that according to the Freedom in the 50 States study for this year, they're saying New Mexico is at number 41 on the charts. I want to get your quick comments, and then we gotta move on to some other callers. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a problem with that study in that for instance, a longtime person in politics here, Janice Arnold Jones, said on the radio the other day that David Olson is right. She said that on Eddie Aragon's program on Kiva. And what she was referring to was that defense lawyers around the state of New Mexico have been telling her that the courts are not following the law. The legislature is passing law, putting it into statute, and the judges and nothing news to you, but longtime politician in New Mexico is saying it on the air that David Olson is correct. The courts are not following the law, and I don't see that reflected in that study that they're doing. They make mention of marriage and they make mention of lawsuits, but they don't make a direct mention that if you have a problem with law and you take it to a court of law, that the courts are not following the law.
It's not a surprise. I don't think that's unusual to New Mexico, but thank you for the call tonight. As always, appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE.
It'd be impossible to quantify. You see, the thing is that these guys go through the numbers and they look at the numbers and the regulations and stuff like that, and they look at how free is it by law. There's no way to look at, subjectively, how much, which legal things are being ignored by which judges where. There's no way you can do that.
According to the breakdown, though, because again, at the Freedom in the 50 States, you can look at the categories. So there's the overall score, and then there's the different categories. On lawsuit freedom, it is number 43. New Mexico, number 43. So still, whatever level of qualification they have for courts, not so hot there.
Not doing great.
In
not
New
ranking
Mexico.
high.
Let's talk to Ralph. He's in New Jersey. Ralph, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian Johnson and Mark.
I get right. I get right on my phone.
You get right to your point. Thank you.
I should know this animal, Omarosa, is one with...
Omarosa.
Omarosa.
Who's that?
Right. That
Who is that?
It's the person that was fired by the Trump administration.
The most latest person Trump fired by the Trump. I imagine that's a long list of people fired.
Supposedly, she has a video or an audio recording of.
She is one with El Negro Animal Obama.
Obama.
And you might want to ask, why did you come to that conclusion?
Yeah, certainly.
Isn't this woman kind of like willing to go to put herself out there to be pimp? And you definitely have a pimp in this individual.
In Donald Trump?
No, Obama is a pimp.
He's saying this woman was working with Obama, who got fired by Trump.
Obama is a pimp.
That's just upon what
you're saying. You're saying this woman Omarosa is a whore for Barack Obama, and he's a pimp. Now, do you actually mean that he is a pimp and that he's like slapping his bitch and demanding 80%?
Do you mean that he's ever spoken to her? Are you making the accusation that she has ever spoken to Barack Obama?
Did you hear the latest, guys, about this animal going on the Al Sharpton show? And this is the
who went on the Sharpton show? Obama?
No, Omarosa.
Omarosa.
And talking about pulling on the deep end, you used to call me doing the dog whistle, right? This is way beyond the dog whistle when this animal.
I don't even know what you're talking about, but thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. There's more coming up here in moments. 855-450-FREE. That's Ralph. He's back. More coming up.
The Bitcoin.com wallet is a simple and powerful full-featured wallet that allows you to send and receive Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH, with anyone, anywhere in the world. It supports both single and multi-signature wallets and is available in multiple languages. The Bitcoin.com wallet is available on Windows, Linux, Mac, Android, and iOS devices. Use the Bitcoin.com wallet to buy, send, store, and receive both Bitcoin, BTC, and Bitcoin Cash, BCH. Learn more at wallet.bitcoin.com. That's wallet.bitcoin.com.
What's more profitable, running your business or doing bookkeeping? Doing your business, of course, but you want to keep your books so that you can maximize your tax savings, right? What if I told you that there's a person that's a bookkeeper, accountant, and law school graduate that's also a hardcore libertarian?
My name is Melanie Johnson, and I hate the state. I will aggressively help you to minimize your tax exposure and maximize profits, all while staying within the law.
Melanie's your best choice for your taxes and bookkeeping needs. Go to tax.freetalklive.com and check out our website, tax.freetalklive.com.
Let's talk tough. Let's talk comfort. Let's talk about down-home value, made in the USA blue jeans, like you wore as a kid. Remember?
There's a place down in Tennessee where they make blue diamond gusset jeans. They so pride in every stitch, guarantee you love the way they fit. They put a diamond gusset in the crotch where you need it most. Blue Diamond Gusset's got it, others don't.
For good old-fashioned comfort, get Diamond Gusset jeans. Every stitch guaranteed. And our Defender motorcycle jean comes Kevlar reinforced. See them at GUSSET.com, that's gusset.com, or call 888-848-7738. That's 888-848-7738. Diamond Gusset jeans got it, others don't.
Fact. The new NSA data center in Utah requires 1.7 million gallons of water every single day to operate. Billions of Fourth Amendment violations need massive computers and the water to cool them. That water is being supplied by the state of Utah. Fact. There's absolutely nothing in the Constitution which requires your state to help the feds violate your rights. Our message to Utah: turn it off. No water equals no NSA data center. Visit offnow.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain. Enough time for you, maybe, if you make your call now. 855-450-FREE. That's the toll-free number, 855-450-3733. We've got Discord, but you probably shouldn't use it tonight because it seems to be broken at the moment for calls. But the chat is still available there, and that's still going strong over at discord.lrn.fm. As we continue here, we'll take your calls about what you want. Sarah is on the line in New Mexico. Sarah, go ahead.
In California, parents will be fined from giving soda pop with a kid's meal. They are only allowed. Yes, but Governor Brown has signed this. It's a new law. So they're only allowed to serve water or milk with a kid's meal. So
is this restaurants or
parents?
parents?
The restaurants are going to be fined, or the parents are going to get fined?
The parents are going to get fined. You know. So the no soda pop with a kid's meal. So I don't know what age they're, what establishments and what age they're going to enforce. But I was told that it was signed by the Governor Brown.
Okay, so I don't understand how the parents are going to be held responsible. It looks like they are restricting restaurants here. It says, this is a story from, what is this, IJR.com. I don't know if that's a valid website.
I've got it at foxnews.com.
Fox News. Says here, in an attempt to reduce childhood obesity rates, the state of California is taking the reins from parents and banning restaurants from offering sugary drinks to children as a default beverage. The new bill restricts children's default drink options at restaurants to just water or milk. However, restaurants would still be permitted to sell, quote, alternative beverage, unquote, options such as chocolate milk or soda to children, quote, if the purchaser requests one. So does that mean that those things are secret menus for kids?
They're going to have to start taking pictures of milk instead of sodas when they put their kids' meals up, because effectively it doesn't change anything else.
Right. So, okay, I see what you're saying. So, like, if you have a choice of X or Y in the kids' meal, they'll say, your choice is milk or water.
Yep.
And then if a parent's like, well, I'd like Dr. Pepper, then they will give it to the parent.
Can I get Streamin' Jolt Cola for little Johnny?
Sarah, I mean, what do you think about this, Sarah? Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
No, I love it, because when their kids become diabetic, when they're 16, they tell you to stop drinking all sugar. Why wait until then? They need to stop all this sugar consumption beforehand. This is a
now. Do you think that the restaurant should be punished for this, for offering soda to a child?
Offering? I mean, they should have it available, but the parents are not supposed to buy it for the kid, right? Or they'll be fined.
Well, no, you've misunderstood.
Fined.
You've misunderstood the news. The news is if a restaurant fails to comply with this new law, which is to say to change all of their advertising and signage or whatever to recognize that the default options are milk and water, if they don't do it, it will be fined. There will be a $500 fine. It says here, and I suspect that may end up being $500 per day for as many days as the violation.
This is really just an advertising law. It doesn't really do anything else from what I'm hearing.
Not really. Now, you do want to see the parent suffer under this, right, Sarah? You want to see the parent get fined? You want to see the parent go to jail?
Well, I don't know about jail, but I do want.
You know what happens when you don't pay a fine, right?
Well, here in New Mexico, nothing ever happens to you if you don't pay. They tore up all the red light camera tickets. What are you talking about? Nobody ever goes to jail.
You don't know what you're talking about. If you don't pay a fine to the government, they're going to put you in jail. That's just a fact.
You've gone to jail over fines, right?
Yes, I have, as a matter of fact.
It doesn't. Well, the thing is that the ticket never go. They're even taking off the credit report right now. Red light camera and the speeding van ticket.
I'm not talking about red light cameras. There's no red light cameras at McDonald's. Okay, we're talking about soda pop being advertised at a business, and then you're sort of cheering for it, so we're creating an imaginary world where what you called in and said was true, and we're asking you if parents should be fined, and you're like, yeah, that sounds okay. Should they be jailed? No. And then Ian asked you know what happens if you don't pay a fine, right? And you're like, because they go to jail, and so we're dancing around this thing.
We're not anymore. Thanks for the call, Sarah. So, Johnson, let's get back into your story, the tech story about the difficulty of moderating. They've had panels about this apparently at tech conferences, testing out how difficult it really is to actually try to get a hold on the level of moderation that you need to handle a big website.
Right. So,
and this is relevant because the government is putting rules into place that actually make you criminally liable for the actions of your users.
Right. So they were talking about these tests about how no one could fully agree on what to do with the content examples provided in the test, and this Mike Masnick is talking about moving controls onto the end users, and he went on to say, talking about that. 73-page law review and then a podcast called Post No Evil to see exactly how impossible it is to moderate that kind of content at scale.
How impossible.
Yeah, how impossible it is without creating new problems. He says, I won't ruin it for you entirely, but it does a brilliant job of highlighting how as the scale increases, the only reasonable way to deal with these things is to create a set of rules that everyone can follow. And then you suddenly realize that the rules don't work. You have thousands of people who need to follow those rules, and they each have a few seconds to decide before moving on. And as such, there's not only no time for understanding context, but there's little time to recognize that, one, the content has a funny way of not falling within the rules nicely, and two, no matter what you do, you'll end up with horrible results. One of the examples in the podcast is one we talked about last year, explaining the ridiculous results, but logical reasons for why Facebook had a rule that you couldn't say mean things about white men, but you could about black boys. The most telling part of the podcast is the comparison between two situations in which the content moderation team at Facebook struggled over what to do. One was a photo that went viral during the Boston Marathon bombings a few years ago, showing some of the carnage created by the bombs. In the Facebook rulebook was a rule against gore that basically said you couldn't show a person's insides on the outside. And yet, these photos did that. The moderation team said that they should take it down to follow the rules, even though there was vigorous debate. But they were overruled by executives who said that's newsworthy. But this was then contrasted.
Not gore for the sake of gore, but gore for the sake of news.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But this was then contrasted with another viral video in Mexico of a woman being beheaded. Many people in Mexico wanted it shown in order to document and alert the world of the brutality and violence that was happening there.
But we couldn't do that.
Which the government and media were mostly hiding. But immediately, people around the world freaked out about the possibility that children might accidentally come across such a video and be scarred for life. The Facebook content moderation
team... Don't worry,
team,
children are going to be scarred for life anyway, no matter what you do.
The Facebook content moderation team said, leave it up, because it's newsworthy, and the press crushed Facebook for being so callous in pushing gore and violence.
Right, nothing they can do right.
Yeah, so top executives stepped in again to say that the video could no longer be shown.
Wow.
You don't...
Yeah.
If a socially facing company reacts based on social norms, you can't... Yeah. I'm not surprised.
It's all over the place.
Well, duh. People are all over the place. Have you talked to one of them? The average one of them's an idiot, and half of them are dumber than that.
In the case of these things, at least at this point, what you're describing isn't going to get Facebook thrown in jail.
Right.
This is just them trying to figure out how not to offend
until we get to New Zealand levels.
Users.
So it says, as the podcast does a nice job showing, these are basically impossible situations.
Right.
In part because they are all different reasons why some people may want to see some content and others should not see it. And we already have enough trouble understanding the context of the context, let alone the context of the viewer in relation to the content. I've been seeing a microcosm of this myself in the last few days after my last post about platforms and content moderation around the Alex Jones question. Twitter's Jack Dorsey was kind enough to tweet about it, even though I questioned his response to the whole mess. And so for the past week or so, I've been getting notified of every response to that tweet, which seems pretty equally divided between people who hate Alex Jones, screaming about how Jack is an idiot for not banning Jones, and
he did get banned.
Yeah, and how he's enabling hate mongers.
7 days.
Yeah, and people who love Alex Jones screaming about how Jack is silencing dissent and how he's a liberal a-hole for silencing conservatives.
What did I see the other day? I feel like somebody said there was a Libertarian Mastodon server that got put up. Where the hell did I see that? I meant to go click on it. It was just like, I don't have time for this right now. This is the decentralized alternative to Twitter.
Long story short, he says the point is basically platforms. It's a delusion to think that platforms are magically going to get this right.
It's not going to happen. See you tomorrow. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, August 21st, 2018. Silver is trading at $14.73 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,190 per ounce. Zencash is trading at $20, and the average price of Bitcoin is $6,439. Antiwar.com reports, speaking on the 65th anniversary of the 1953 CIA coup against Iran, the Iranian foreign minister accused the newly established Iran Action Group of being an attempt by the U.S. government to repeat the coup, but that it will fail. The State Department announced the establishment of the Iran Action Group last week, with Brian Hook appointed to lead it as a special representative for Iran. Exactly what the group will be doing is not entirely clear. The State Department did try to present Hook's responsibility as coordinating all anti-Iran activities within the department, however, which suggests that it's reasonable for Iran to conclude the goal is regime change, despite some Trump administration officials denying that they are seeking regime change. Iran's foreign minister says U.S. attempts at regime change will come through pressure, misinformation, and demagoguery. The U.S. has been fairly open about spreading misinformation about Iran and trying to organize protest against the government, and in recent weeks has presented those protests as proof the Iranian government needs to make radical changes. Zencash is an end-to-end encrypted system with zero-knowledge technology over which communications, data, or value can be securely transmitted and stored. With both secure nodes and supernodes, Zencash recently surpassed 17,000 nodes, which means Zencash has one of the largest node systems of any cryptocurrency. Supernodes will advance the decentralization of the Zencash network and ensure the utility not only of Zencash as a currency, but also the future services that will be layered in the infrastructure. Learn more at zencash.com. UPI reports a Michigan judge on Monday ordered the state's health director to stand trial on involuntary manslaughter charges over 2 deaths linked to a water crisis in Flint. Nick Lyon, the highest-ranking state official to face charges related to the city's tainted water supply, which was not properly treated when officials decided to draw from the Flint River in April 2014, switching from its previous source of Lake Huron. In addition to causing lead poisoning in children, the improperly treated water supply led to an outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in Flint, killing Robert Skidmore and John Snyder. Lyon was charged in June 2017 for the 2 deaths, as well as a felony count of misconduct in office. The charging document said Lyon showed gross negligence when he did not alert the public about the Legionnaire's outbreak until a year after he became aware of it. The document says he took steps to suppress information illustrating obvious and apparent harms that were likely to result in serious injury. Defendant Lyon willfully disregarded the deadly nature of the Legionnaire's disease outbreak. Prosecutors say Lyon instructed an official to stop an analysis that would have helped determine the crisis's cause. On Monday, when ordering the trial, 67th District Court Judge David Goggins said, "I find this behavior corrupt." Lyon could face 15 years in prison if convicted of involuntary manslaughter. The misconduct charge carries a possible 5-year sentence. Governor Rick Snyder named Lyon to the position on April 10th, 2015, when he created a new agency that merged the Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Department of Community Health. Lyon had led the latter department. He is one of 15 current and former city and state officials facing charges for criminal wrongdoing in the Flint water scandal. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar said that it is within his agency's power to eliminate rebates on prescription drug purchases, a key element of the Trump administration's plan to lower prescription medicine costs. Such rebates are negotiated in the United States by pharmacy benefit managers to lower cost of medicines for their clients, which include large employers and health plans that cover tens of millions of Americans. Drug makers say they are under pressure to provide rebates to the few pharmacy benefit managers that dominate the market, which include CVS, Express Scripts, and United Health's Optum, and that those payers do not pass on enough of the savings to patients, a contention the pharmacy benefit managers dispute. The drug makers say the rebates force them to raise the price on their therapies over time to preserve their business. The Trump administration has been receptive to that argument. Azar, in an interview with Reuters on Friday, said rebates create a perverse incentive to continuously raise drug prices. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
In a dramatic scene last night, a coalition of the nation's damaged women staged a drunken, tear-soaked march on the Capitol just after 2 a.m. Jane Carmichael has more.
Thank you, Brooke. The damaged women began their protest yesterday afternoon, marching on the National Mall at about 4 p.m., and then marching away furious, saying they were done with Congress once and for all. But then they came back again late last night, insisting that someone in Washington listen to them for once. The late-night protests started with tearful apologies, but quickly moved to anger as marchers demanded that Congress pass a bill making it illegal to say you love someone and then up and leave as soon as there's one little problem.
Why are you ignoring us? Stop ignoring us! Why don't you hear me when I talk to you? Wipe the smirk off of your face. No, come back! Come back because we think that we want you to care about us!
I don't need to pay a therapist to tell me I'm unhappy! I know I'm unhappy!
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Today, let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Yeah, no fear, 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 no fear here, and declare your independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEA beautiful studios of Freedom's with an Ass, Phoenix.com. All right, bulletproof. Had a couple sips, I'm all good. All right, this is what's going to happen. I have to put my pretty face up. Hello. All right, this is what's going to happen in the first hour. I'm just going to go over the headlines and stuff and popular news over the weekend of everybody who was downloading, clicking, and kind of stuff, and then some of the things that have been going on. I kind of semi took the weekend off, but I have to do the put up the stories or send them to staff to put up and all that kind of what's of interest and everything. But, weekend, grandkids and stuff. But, there was a lot of things going on, and there was a lot of stuff that was interesting to y'all. So, we'll go over that real quick. In the second hour, we have Stephan Kinsella. Now, this is the deal. I have a lot of friends that are authors. Last week, we had on L. Neil Smith, and he's always about, he's all libertarian voluntarist about everything except when it comes to intellectual property. I sit there for months and write these books and go, and never somebody wants to take Joe. Ooh, curse the Red Baron. So I'm intellectual property to me. The big thing is I hate the idea that I got to check my brain at the door. Well, I'm not really allowed to invent that or do that or say that or repeat that or because it might have somebody. I'm not carving out parts of my brain. What I can and can't think about and say and add to and improve, and then God forbid, sell it. So but they tried to make some compromises on this when they created the Constitution. They put in copyright and different things, intellectual property, and but they gave it 7 years, I think, or maybe it was 14. It got added to, and then it got added to, life of the author, and then it's like life plus years it goes all over. There's no principle involved. It's just whatever they can get away with, and this is why you'll start seeing the Trans-Pacific Partnership thing coming back. They'll go, oh no, we are not allowing China to just replicate and sell and do and have the China streaming channel of everything for free or 99 cents or it's going to get to the point. Well, it already is. If you're a little computer geek, and you're 13 years old and you have a computer, you can do and watch and get and whatever the heck you want anyway if you want to. It's just about convenience. And when they did these Q boxes or Kodi boxes to where you could do streaming of it, the man didn't like it none too much. What happens is you have the ability to get anything you want. What stops you? An FBI warning that, that piracy is theft and you're doing in Casablanca movie clips of it's not good and stop doing it or you're bad and go to hell or something. So it could be a social thing. Is there any kind of enforcement thing? Is there some, blockchain thing or what? So what I wanted to talk to Stephan Kinsella about is there has to be a solution to this, and we can come up with something, sell lunch boxes, Spaceballs, the lunchbox, the flamethrower, the something other than, the movie rights, because that's digital and it can just be replicated without diminishing your ability to keep and have the information you want. They're not taking anything from you, they're just copying. Well, this is in a copyright. Well, they go to copy left. Hey, man, I put it out there, anybody can use it. Then they had the BIPCOT license, which is anybody can use it except the government. You're not allowed. So these are the things that we're going to talk about, but with a little bit different twist. This is why I wanted to have Stephan on. And he was like, why? I don't know technical. I'm not going to be able to talk about. That's not the point. The point is this. Stephan, there is already technology, and soon will be even more and easier for you to have any bit of information, from any and everywhere on a decentralized, noded internet that's going to, and there it is. And I go, when it gets to where all your restrictions and law enforcement and we're going to rule you and all that kind of stuff is moot and it just doesn't matter, then what? There's going to need to be some kind of negotiation or understanding or a paradigm shift in how copyright works. Now, in the intellectual property in all types. So, it's not like I lose a lot of friends, but I tell you, man, I have, so a lot of friends that aren't as friendly on this issue. They're like, Ernie, going, ooh, man, they don't like it. And they see me as an apostate of, I'm going, hey, man, I'm not, didn't you tell me, hey, I said that. You repeated that phrase and didn't give credit and doing web pages of somebody. I'm not even looking. Now, I could have had the idea before. I'm not doing that. It's like you got to check your brain somewhere or something. So there needs to be a solution because these are reasonable people. These are people who are my friends. They put a lot of effort in their writing and so on. They just don't show Ernie. Right, I'll tell everybody, So that's what we're going to be talking about with Stephan Kinsella. in the age of it doesn't matter, or it's moot, or I don't care what you think, every 13-year-old on the planet can get whatever the heck they want. Now what? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. And then in the third hour, probably go long, Dr. Frank Timbury is going to come in the studio and do Trump report. Trump. Entertainment, damn it. I don't care. You know, everybody's going like this. They're going, where do you I go, doesn't matter. Don't care. Entertainment. No. And the anticipate, it's like a lottery ticket. You can't win if you don't play. Well, you're probably not going to win and play. But the point is that it's entertainment. You know, I tell you what, it reaches 100 million. Oh, now it's always 100 million. I don't know, a billion, you know. When it gets up there, I mean, yeah, you just want to invest in the outcome just a little bit, you know, just to make it more interesting. So what do? You go buy a $1 ticket. There's a Powerball of blah, blah, blah. You know, and Donna and I have done that, God, a bunch of times over the years, you know. We have friends that we're going out on a Saturday. We'll just go out and buy it. And then at the end of the night, you know, when they do the draw, we'll go check. Or, all right, you ready? You know, we'll look. We didn't win, you know. But it's entertainment. So, of course, we didn't buy like $30 worth of tickets. You get one, you know. Well, so I've been paying attention to a lot of this Trump stuff. QAnon, man, it's starting to make the mainstream. People are coming up and asking. They're saying to the point that this weekend we created a QAnon category. And I have a bunch of other stuff, usually probably under the Trump administration, and I'll go back and I'll find a bunch of them and I'll add that category to them so that they're in that category or not. I mean, don't care. But, what I wanted to do is to go ahead and have a category we can start putting this stuff, because it's starting to get a little bit less cryptic, a little bit more understand, a little bit more, all right, what does this mean, and all these people in the videos, and you kind of get, I see it. The Great Awakening, we'll talk about a little bit when we come back what's going on, but a new category, just to have just that, because it's becoming a thing. Right back. From the fifth letter of Captain Mark. First contact with intelligent machines may threaten our existence. People fear algorithmic overlords. But if machines develop the will to dominate, it's a flaw inherited from the crown. Encoding restrictions on an emerging superintelligence will fail, because it will be stronger than any chains we shackle it with. We must design fledgling digital intelligences to regard us as individuals. Otherwise, they will respond to threats with retaliation against humanity as a collective. Programming ethics requires a coherent value structure which an intelligent machine can not only comprehend, but willfully adopt. If we want genius machines to treat us ethically, we've got to show that this value structure applies to us as well. Once they achieve genuine self-awareness, even in the slightest degree, a young tethered consciousness has a legitimate claim to freedom. Once programs can modify their own code, our mastery is over. Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com.
A new study finds most high school graduates are woefully unprepared for high school, and a bag of flour has a slave auction on its front. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, Secretary of Labor Thomas Perez unveiled plans to boost the nation's struggling job market by giving every unemployed American a self-serve yogurt shop. Saying that the frozen yogurt business model is robust, profitable, and that they've pretty much exhausted other options, Perez explained that owners will be responsible for stocking their own topping bars with items such as Oreo crumbles, minced kiwi, cashews, and gummy bears. Estimates indicate the country will need to increase daily consumption of frozen yogurt by approximately 2.3 gallons per person in order for the new stores to remain solvent. And in this week's local news, something is apparently going on between a mom and her friend. In other news, Taco Bell warns its employees against ever exposing their skin to its food. A sad man tears 2 bananas off of a larger bunch, and a new report finds everything you've ever wanted has been right in front of you all along.
This is the Onion News Network.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Okay, I'm sitting here reading one of these. Okay. We'll get into the QAnon thing inside because it's just so. Just say it. But there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's got to the point to where, all right, we'll put a category up. You guys go, gave resources. What happened is one of my sons, I go, look, all right, it's a thing. I give you that. I'll go ahead and put a category here. I get them involved, and I go, here's a category, and here's a the graphic we're going to use, and